Wow, this has to be some throwback bullshit, but no, I'm going for a minimalistic look right now. Welcome back to a very special episode of Bearded Ramblings that was somewhat delayed by forces of nature and basically I just wanted to watch a giant ass video that came out. So I do apologize about the incredible long delay of 2 days. I'm sure you were contemplating suicide because you're all weak, low energy, if you will. And that's me. Krendar cannot join us, for he is currently working and will be working for some time next. Yet I'm going to have to get up in contact with him to see about what we have in terms of a new timetable. It won't be forever, but we'll see. And I guess that means I've got to introduce someone you've probably never seen before, let alone hear. Red Eye.
Crikey.
I know. Um, dare I say, good day, mate.
G'day,
Um,
mate. How you doing?
I'm very, very, very groggy. Unlike you, who's probably jumping up and down, for this has been kind of your baby. You have been pumped for this.
Well, yeah, it's it's been years in the making, and I do like to see houses of cards come falling down, and the fluttering has begun. The very top cards have dislodged and are now fluttering down in the breeze, and we all get to sit back, just like the Theranos thing. We get to just watch it all come on down, like the Nikola electric truck. Here we go again, folks.
We are
So,
living in interesting times. So interesting, in fact, that, well, Elon's been so busy that we kind of, even though the original stuff we were going to look at was kind of now out of date, he's been fucking up so much. It's been, in many ways, very impressive just how much he's been. I think I saw a rumor somewhere that he actually has, like, he actually secretly wanted to destroy Twitter, and he's been doing everything in his power to like sabotage it from the inside, which could make him the greatest hero the world has ever known if that was the case.
well, here's the beautiful thing about the current situation is that Twitter going bankrupt is a possibility. Twitter might actually just go away because he's broken it that much. The only way it was making money was off advertisers. With all of what's just going on, the really big boys that play in that pond, they've all taken they're 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 not advertising on Twitter right now. He's fired all of the people that used to make the machine behind the scenes like this. I imagine that what makes Twitter Twitter is a patchwork of computers that need to be constantly cared for like infant children. And if the people that know this machine have been removed from that, Twitter, well, apparently it's already been broken. According to Ms. Sterling, notifications were broken 2 days ago. And even Elon put out a tweet, we're going to do a lot of stupid stuff. Some of it might stick around. He
Whoa.
didn't say that the good stuff would be used and they'd get rid of the dumb stuff. He actually said, we're going to do a lot of stupid stuff and some of it might stick. That was the gist of his message. We're going to do a lot of stupid shit and some of it's probably just going to stick and stay around. It's like, you're the man that, and I quote, knows more about manufacturing than any other human being alive. You don't know how to manufacture money from Twitter, apparently, because you fucking destroyed it in less than a week. You blew $3 billion off its value in days. $3 billion gone in days because of what he did. $3 billion fucking dollars.
Just think of all the things he could have done to help the world with that money. Um, Let's start with this. Elon Musk says Twitter. This is from today. Elon Musk says Twitter plans are proceeding well as company falls into chaos. What am I getting a vibe of him like he's in the Hitler bunker, the Führer bunker, and you just see artillery shells, and he's like, when will we declare victory? Despite the company has reversed at least two of Mr. Musk's recent decisions, amid rife impersonation abuse across social networks, including numerous Twitters themselves. Twitter supports, I've seen at least 8 Twitter supports, all throwing insults at each other. It's been both impressive and terrifying. It has been used for a force of good, though. Did you see about the was it Lockheed Martin claimed that it was Lockheed Martin fake Twitter? Um, here. Yeah, Thursday night. Oh, fuck off. I am not signing up to these things. Uh, yeah, on Thursday night, fake Lockheed Martin account with the handle Lockheed Martini, blue check mark, tweeted aerospace weapons stop sales Saudi Arabia, Israel, and US until further investigations to the record of human rights abuse. And sure enough, they actually did get a bomb to their stock a little bit. Not enough to like destroy the company, but Eli Lilly apology clarifying will not provide free insulin after a parody account which has been suspended. Verification checks of an image of brand logo tweeted it would, while separate parody account tweeted a page apology. We can do this whenever we want, and there's nothing you can do about this. Oh, you know what the sad fact is? That's 100% true. They could at any moment be like, "Yep, we can just get government subsidies and give out free insulin to people who
They
need
do
it."
in Australia. They started doing that decades ago. My dad was a diabetic, and I watched that whole program in Australia roll out. First of all, here's how it went in Australia. To try and combat AIDS and HIV, they started offering drug users a needle exchange program. Well, guess what happened then? Every diabetic in Australia went, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, you're going to give drug users free needles, but you're going to make us pay for them. And the government of the day went, good point. So they subsidised that. And then they realised that because Australia was a nation of beer guzzling idiots, that most of us were going to end up diabetic. So insulin was made very, very cheap. It's not hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get your insulin. It's a couple of bucks. The government stumps up and just makes sure that it's paid because it's just better for the nation if you do that. So America, it's going to be a jobby job, but you can do it. You can take the power away from these corporations, and the government can go in and negotiate a decent price where the drug company makes a bit of profit, but they don't make a metric fuck ton. And diabetics get affordable medication.
What a
It's it's totally possible. We do it in Australia.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if America started to act like a civilized country. Um, I do love this one here from Chiquita. We have not overthrown a government since 1954. Um, uh, Obviously a reference to the fucking, what is it, United Fruit Company? Fuck's sake. The point is that like the parody accounts have been absolutely crazy, but the weird thing about that is Elon said that he's tackling he's going to do the verified accounts in the first place to combat people who are the bots and the scammers. Now, I want to say right now, um, today when I turned on my Twitter, I had 4 DMs. One was from someone I knew. The other three were part of these group chat things that I'm brought into. It normally was only one. Since he's joined it, it's gone up to three. And every time I get rid of one, it tosses me into another one. endlessly, endlessly, and all these group chats are offering me great advice, um, and like great value for great opportunity for jobs, a lot of job offers and stuff like that, or how you can claim a free Amazon card and shit like that. It's just like he's so fucked up royally. He's obsessed, in particularly, he's obsessed with the scammers because he thought that all the people who made fun of him and didn't like support the people he supported had to be bots and scammers. So he went through like he after he got the job, after he got the company, he went through the motions of like asking, I want to see all the records of everyone who all the people who are clearly bots and scammers. And when they turned out that they weren't, they were regular people, he didn't believe it and started firing people. So and he's been continuously firing the people. Like right now, Zuckerberg's been firing his own batch over the whole Meta thing, and I'm now wondering which is going to collapse first, Facebook or Twitter. And I think Twitter is going to win, but I could imagine Mark like abandoning Facebook completely and starting up Meta. Like, it's so weird watching these motherfuckers. How is Bezos the most sane one of the big three, like tech
Because he just shuts
savvy?
up and he just he's the thing about Bezos. Bezos doesn't usually get in the press and talk up mad shit. He came out and he went,
Unless
oh,
it's about unions. Unless it's about
yeah,
unions.
well, I was about to say unions, but he kind of stayed out of that one pretty well. He was interviewed a few times, but he didn't make a complete cunt out of himself. Elon makes a turd out of himself constantly. There's 10 years of footage of him just fucking lying about just about every project he's been involved in. Guess what just happened to the Hyperloop test track? It's been chopped up to make way for more car park space. Hyperloop's fucking dead. Game over. And Hyperloop went from a vacuum tube with a train hurtling down it at 1,000 kilometers an hour to Model 3 Teslas in a tunnel being driven by people at 35 miles an hour. That's what the reality of the Hyperloop is right now. It's fucking electric cars in shitty little service tunnels being driven by people because the level 5 autonomous driving is not reality. Like he said it was back in 2016 or 17. It was just around the corner
Well,
from
don't
level
forget that
5.
the second before they crash, they automatically turn off, so they can't be legally held responsible.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
that's well, they're currently going through court right now about that whole thing, and it's not going to fucking end well for him there either because I've seen the footage of the dude letting the car drive itself, and it detects the bicycle rider. The car veers for the bicycle rider and accelerates.
yeah,
The car decides I'm going to just fucking run that over. That's what the car was going to do, and the dude had to grab control of it, or it was going to skittle them. There's the other company, their autonomous driving car, the person was wheeling their push bike across the road. They're dead. So that's the result of your autonomous driving right there. It's like if Volvo couldn't get that shit right, and they've been studying this shit for decades, what makes you think Elon fucking Musk can just come out and go, I've got level 5 autonomous driving? He fucking doesn't. He's a fucking liar. He is the flim flam man. He is the monorail salesman from the fucking Simpsons. Seriously, that's fucking Elon Musk, people. Wake the fuck up. Stop giving this turd money. Oh, by the way, Tesla just shut down their fucking showroom in Beijing, right? Where they sold lots and lots of cars. Tesla just shut down the Beijing showroom because the market there has just gone. He's not. They're not the big save. They're not the big planetary fix. We can't get a Tesla. You want to buy a Tesla in Australia? Get in line and wait for one. And good luck getting it fixed once it breaks. Have you heard about the nightmares trying to get battery pack replacements? By the way, a battery pack replacement for a Tesla, how much do you think that would cost you?
Oh, I was actually told it, and I can't bloody remember.
16 fucking grand in America. So that's nearly 30K in Australia. And good luck getting a replacement battery pack for your Tesla. There's been Teslas that have been rolled out of the factory, sent to the dealership, delivered to the customer with no brake pads on the fucking car. And I'm not kidding. That's a documented fact. They didn't put the fucking brake pads on the car. It got through manufacturing. It got through. It got sent to the dealership. The dealer then delivered the car to the customer. The customer then heard the grinding of metal on metal, took it to Tesla, and they went, eh. So they took it to a local brake shop and they put it up on the hoist and went, yeah, like, there's no brake pads on this thing. But Tesla, biggest car company in the world, bullshit.
We were
Whoever
saying,
comes up with
yeah, we were saying that a while back that it was like it's clearly
on
been
paper.
inflated. Yeah.
Now, are you trying to tell me they're bigger than the Volvo group that have been doing autonomous driving and like I remember 20 something years ago, Volvo had the technology where they had a fleet of cars or trucks and they were literally inches off each other's bumper. The front car or the front truck was in control, and every time it'd blip its brakes, it'd send a thing down at the speed of light down the network, and all the other trucks would go blip blip, and they were being controlled by the aerodynamic pull of the other trucks meant it was way more efficient. But they never implemented that technology. Why is that? Because trucks driving at 100 fucking kilometers an hour, an inch off each other's bumper, is still a really dangerous thing to do, even with state-of-the-art computer control. This
On
whole
on this on this topic, I got some videos lined up here from Adam something amazing channel. Absolutely love it. But here's the thing. Um, it's very important that I remember, while my brain is not 100% mush, that throughout the night, if you are so inclined, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out the links in the doobly-doo for all the good stuff. And we have ourselves a stream goal. Krendar will get his cut, even though he's not here. He should have been here last time, but on my end it fell apart. So, yeah, he gets paid.
oh,
But
loop up. Thank you. This is now.
yeah,
I'll just
no, this is what I wanted to get at. Like this
this
is
this this is Hyperloop. Remember what he promised? A thing where you could get from one end of the country to the other
An integral
in
part of all
yeah.
in less than a certain amount of time. A
What?
vacuum
Yeah.
sealed. Watch what it's turned into.
almost every major city on the planet. If you put them underground, they become metros. Above ground, they become city light rail. On the street level, they're trams. Between large cities, they can become high-speed rail, transporting up to 1,300 people per train at intervals up to a few minutes. Modern-day transport does not get more economical than this. Even electric cars have absolutely nothing on a system like this. It's just so goddamn effective.
America, make fucking trains. Um, Australia, what's the stance on trains? You've got a lot of land.
We've got a pretty ordinary rail system that needs serious upgrading. We do not need maglev trains. We do not need super high speed, like 500 mile an hour trains. We need trains that can do 100, 120 kilometers an hour, maybe 150 on the straights. And because freight on trains is the most efficient way to get shit around. Steel on steel just is more efficient than rubber on fucking tarmac. It's the way to go. Like this guy says, it's the fucking.
Now, if your city lacks good public transport, what they need to do is build infrastructure, pictured here. But what do you do if the surface is too overcrowded? Well, then you have to build underground rail, usually anyway. And so the city of Las Vegas decided to dig some transit tunnels. After all, car traffic is a big problem in Las Vegas and there's no good public transportation. All the necessary work was done. Stations were excavated, tunnels were bored, and so Las Vegas was ready for a system able to move hundreds of thousands of people each day in an effective and environmentally friendly way.
Motherfucking gaming lights. It's all flashed.
Yep,
Monorail.
here it is. Look at it.
Yeah. This is the future, everyone.
Look at it.
One fucking lane.
There's your fucking vacuum sealed tube with the fucking mag lift fucking thing in it. Look at those beautiful hover. Look at them hover. Look at them. Look at the glorious hover things. Hovering. Holy
It's
hover.
it's sleek and stylish, like from a movie. Don't you like
Wait,
movies, everyone?
I'm going to do the sound effects for it.
There should be a holographic woman in pure white smiling. Welcome to the Hyperloop. Loop, 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 loop.
Yeah, she glitches out fully, just explodes.
Just cuts to like all this pile up fucking mutants running around, and there's these like they're worshipping Elon's half buried statue. Like fuck's sake. And yes, we
Flim
did think
Flam
of
Man.
we did try to get an Elon fan in, but right now they're hiding under rocks.
Couldn't find one that
So
wanted to come
yeah.
out and talk in public anyway.
I could tell a story of not too long ago. Vosh was talking to somebody who was let's just say he was on if there were buses, he'd be on the short one, and I don't mean that in like an insult way. There was clearly something wrong with him, but he was a huge Elon fan. And when Vosh asked him, "Why are you an Elon fan?" he just said, and I am not doing the voice because you can imagine what sort of voice. I swear to Christ, he just said, I just think that it's really cool what he's doing, you know, space and stuff. That, in a nutshell, is what it's all about. He's just dangling keys in front of the masses while robbing them. And then what's he doing with the money? He's pissing it away, so at least he's not getting any enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, look, I was a fan of Elon until when he, way back early in the SpaceX days, the European Space Agency came out, and the way that he was designing the rockets, they basically went, see what he's doing there? NASA stopped doing those designs 30 years ago because it's really not a good idea to put that fuel tank inside the other fuel tank, because when one goes, the other goes really
Okay,
bad.
so I think we're past the point of sarcasm, so I'm just gonna drop it for now.
I don't know. I think Red's still got some sarcasm in him.
This
Oh, I got
picture right here,
hours
this
of it.
fucking picture right here, summarizes everything wrong. Not just with American car culture and American public
Oh, I have to ask, do you know who Adam Something is?
Yeah, I've watched this vid a couple of times, enjoyed it.
Yeah, so you
transit,
know
but
who he is.
also this
So
bizarre popular worship of out-of-touch
hates
Silicon Valley
Elon
billionaire
so much.
tech bros. And just please consider for a second, whom does this system really serve? We did all this tunneling, we did all this construction, all this effort, all this money, so that a couple of Teslas can drive around in a tunnel where metro trains could travel, holding up to 1,000 people per train set. But instead we have expensive sports cars holding 5. And even if the system was extended all over Las Vegas, what would it really achieve? It would just be one more lane, but underground. And gamer lights. And here I'd like to
Yay!
highlight just how shallow the tech brain solution is for problems. It's basically just throwing capacity at it. Hey, does your city suffer from chronic car dependency and all its associated problems, such as noise pollution, air pollution?
Look at that. Is it not just the perfect example? This is what the founding fathers wanted in America. This is what they fought the English for. The right for you to do this every day for decades for minimum wage, and then you die. Is it not freedom? Is it not America? Seriously, that would terrify me. What if your car
I
just stopped in the middle? Look, you were that guy right there. What the?
I would just stop my car, get out of my car, and because I'm in America, I've probably own a Deagle or a nice 44 Magnum, and I'd Minecraft myself straight into the next existence, because
every one of
no,
every one of these cars has Alex Jones playing on them.
no, no, that's terrifying. That's hell to me. I look at
How
that.
many lanes? Keep talking.
That is fucking hell. Like, we got 4 lanes. Our major highway's being upgraded to 4 lanes where I live, and it disgusts me. I remember when it was 1 lane each way, our main highway, until
9 or
about
20
15 years ago.
per,
Holy
yeah, per one of these.
fuck.
So yeah, between like so 9 so it's like yeah, between 10 or 20 yeah, so about 9 or 10, yeah. Not counting this. And of course, imagine living under this thing or going to work like
Imagine breathing the air within 10 kilometers of that fucking roadway.
right? They put trees up there as a vague hope of like, oh, it's a bit of privacy. What's that? So people don't fucking suffocate. Like it's just,
That's a nightmare. Look at that fucking shit.
and this is the core of all scammers. They always find a genuine problem. In the case of Elon, he said he was going to fix something like this, but he said he did because he was, at the very least, he was aware that, I think we're all in agreement, this is not good. This is a bad thing. This is a bad thing for a whole lot of reasons. And what do most city planners do? One more lane. I imagine at some point this was like halved, or like even a quartered, or even there was just none, and it was just a regular road. And then they just kept making.
Even investing in light rails around our city is just a way better investment than building a fucking bunch of tunnels, single lane tunnels, mind you. So this isn't going to alleviate any of the gridlock, what Elon's doing in Las Vegas. It's probably going to contribute to it eventually, because you know that they're going to eventually, the tunnels are going to lead up, and so that stuff's going to eventually end up on the
It's
surface
a
part of that
self-fulfilling,
network. You
yeah.
just know it.
Well, look at any tunnel in like New York during rush hour. Like I've been inside them, the fucking the Holland tunnel. Like oh my God, like you go inside it and it's just like 5 or 6 different lanes converging into one tube. It defeats the point of it, which was to alleviate traffic. So if it's not cars, then what do you do? How about at least buses? Can we at least settle on buses? I don't see a
Yep.
single fucking
There's been
bus
a
there.
Thunderfoot video where he actually shows that, we call them banana buses over here, or bendy buses.
Yeah,
They've
the
got
bendy
that
buses.
in the middle of them. They look a bit like that accordion material where they
Hmm.
go around corners, and
Wait,
they take more people. They've got more doors. You can load them up and unload them faster, blah, blah, blah. It's just a more efficient way to move people. The way he's proposing to alleviate gridlock, it's not going to alleviate shit.
Heart
What it is
disease,
going to do
obesity.
is put money in his fucking pocket, right? How much money did the Boring Company and Tesla and the associated companies that are probably shelf companies that Elon owns make from that deal? I'd like to find out. In
maybe he'll
fact,
Oh,
say
and
it,
also
doesn't he?
let the
constant
video
traffic
play. I'm going to
jams.
do some
Elon
Google
Musk
for it.
goes, and I have a name for it. A name for it, which is called more traffic lanes. But the thing is, as humanity moves more into the cities, as urban populations skyrocket, we simply cannot allow everyone to just drive cars wherever. There's just no space. Even if we build out dozens of new highway lanes underground, what happens once you get out of the tunnel? Where do you put your car, especially in a city center?
All right, kids,
And
hold on a second. So here's what Elon got out of doing this: $47 million. It cost $47 million to build as part of a firmly fixed pricing agreement. Right, here's the best bit. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority agreed not to charge a ticket fare for rides on the loop, and will instead earn revenue from advertising and rentals. So
Yeah.
the people that paid all of this money sign an agreement and tied their own hands behind their back where they can't actually charge a fare to ride in their taxi service.
I have to ask,
Wow.
what it I actually I thought it was like falling apart, like the actual deal was running across too many roadblocks and he was backing off from it. Like is it still
Unbelievable.
is it still like slated to go through in the next 2 or 3 years? Like, is it actually going to happen, or is it already like,
Oh,
is
you
it
still there,
already?
Lev?
Yeah, yeah. You can. Oh, hell, sorry. Okay, you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hit the button. Thing with this thing is, it's like the button is so easily touched. Um, but yeah, the what I want to know is like, what's the like, is it still on the table? Is it still happening, or is it being on hold, or is it in the courts, or is it already done with a giant quotation? Like, is it still happening? Like, what's it?
What's still happening? I missed the
The
first
the
part of.
the Vegas loop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. It's. I'm looking at it right now. This is from 20 April 13, 2021. From
When's it supposed to be done?
Teslarati.com. Yeah, well, it's open and they're using it now. Part of it.
Oh,
At this point, instead of trying to hatch elaborate plans over gigantic underground parking lot complexes or the like, more of that tech brain solution, we could go for realistic solutions such as disincentivizing motor traffic in dense urban settlements. Because whether you like it or not, while electric cars are nicer than internal combustion cars, they still have absolutely nothing on trains. An electric train is the most environmentally friendly mass transit we currently have. And since that seems to be the best solution for now, why not just build more of it? In Tokyo, the city where I took all these pictures and videos, the share of motor transit is 12%, while public transportation's share is 51%. And Tokyo can achieve these numbers because it has a vast, developed and dense public transportation network. You don't need a car in Tokyo. Public transportation takes you absolutely everywhere. In contrast, in Las Vegas, the share of motor transit is 90%. That's 9 and a 0, and public transportation is 4%. These are laughable numbers.
no one even cycles. I mean, I wouldn't want to
Dude.
see I wouldn't want to see someone out of Vegas cycling, but that's more to do with the copious
All
amount
right.
of drugs.
The citizens of Las Vegas need to get rid of whoever's run the show. They have just authorized the next stage of this Vegas Loop Tunnel project. It's going to include 51 stations over 29 miles. It's now received a green light to expand to the city limits, extending 34 miles with a total of 55 stations.
One day, one day, when
Wait. Like,
huh?
listen to this though. The current loop that's taken how many years to complete? It's only 1.7 miles long. They're claiming they're going to extend it to 34 miles. At this rate, to get to that 34 mile, they'll be working for a couple of decades. That's the slowest tunneling company on the fucking planet.
You could almost say it's boring. Um,
Woo!
one day that like I'd love to think that like all that will be completely destroyed and the area that was already carved will be expanded to make actual like public transport. But the thing is that like it kind of makes sense that it's happening in Vegas, which is home to the endless amounts of scams that make the city famous in the first place. So yeah, it's just rare that the city gets scammed as well. Although, the population of Vegas is the one that will be suffering the most. The tourists won't be using this. The locals will. The tourists will be brought in on a bus or take a flight in.
With pedestrian traffic constituting just 1%. And so shouldn't Las Vegas and American cities be doing the same thing as Japan? I mean, it's not like they couldn't do it, they're the richest country on the planet. But of course, car culture is very, very difficult to change. And make no mistake, it has to be changed because it's completely unsustainable. And Elon Musk, instead of trying to help America transition away from cars somewhat, just continues to pour more fuel on the fire. And why wouldn't he? He's an out-of-touch car maker billionaire. He doesn't care about innovation, he doesn't care about the environment, he doesn't care about you. All he cares about is making as much money as possible and then on the side constructing his own little private escape route to Mars should things on Earth go to shit. Because if they do, and Elon Musk does manage to put together his Mars colony, I'm sorry to tell you, but you will not be on the evacuation spaceship. The top 1% will escape. You will rot in the toxic wasteland that Elon Musk helped bring about. His utopia is not starting.
And escape to what?
Yeah.
Escape to fucking what? There's nothing there. They're not escape. They're going there to fucking die. That's what they're going to fucking do. Anyone that's going to Mars,
They're gonna die with
that's
more flair than the rest of us, which is
yeah.
saying something. Yeah,
You you
it's the fucking scene from Cyberpunk where they all are escaping to the satellites because they very softly are watching the Earth die. It's it's like eventually they'll die too. There's nowhere else to go. We have to fix this or else we're dead, and Elon's making it worse.
yeah. See, look to see the illustration there, how the craft are landing. That's not what will happen is because the Mars atmosphere is like about 1% of ours, so the whole belly flop maneuver to slow down that doesn't come into fucking play. You come screaming into the very thin atmosphere, and then the 1% of the atmosphere barely slows you down. You've seen what NASA's gone through and the different ideas to get their things to slow down enough so they don't punch into the ground. They've basically got the beach ball method, which was my favorite, or the retro rocket things now. But here's the thing, that the whole thing about Elon's engines is they're going to be traveling through space for 9 months and not being used, and then you've got to start up all of the turbo pumps and all this shit. It's not going to fucking end well for the people on starships trying to land on the surface of Mars. Do not book a flight, kids. Wink.
I just love how like so many people are taking this for granted when we haven't even fucking landed on it yet. All we've ever done is send probes. We need to at least be able to show that it's practical. And you know what else? Why are they always so obsessed with fucking Mars? Go to that one spot on the moon that has water. At least then you can, I don't know, get a view of the home world as you all suffocate. Like it's all there's
Yeah.
no it'd make more sense for us to drill giant a giant fucking mines into the earth and we all become a bunch of troglodyte people. That makes a little bit more sense. There's more water down there. We could use thermal energy and I don't know, maybe the events of the core will happen or some shit like that. Uh
Look, when you talk to Landon about leaving planet Earth and traveling into the stars, the first thing we've got to do is learn how to cut the umbilical so we don't have to come back and get basic supplies. So the first thing we've got to do is go to the moon and learn how to do all of the stuff that we do down here in a different environment. And then we've just got to learn to adapt to new environments and then rinse and repeat this process of adapting to new environments everywhere we go. But the first step is setting up a permanent presence on the fucking moon. So, and learn how to get all of the goodies we need to get from the moon. Either
After
growing it,
single-handedly
whatever. No, right, keep
inventing
going.
stuff like the vacuum train and the road tunnel, Elon Musk is
No,
back with
stop.
the latest.
The vacuum train is a 100-year-old idea. He didn't
Yeah.
invent shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was dismissed for the same reason it was dismissed. No one does it today. It's the most
Yeah.
useless. Yeah, we can do it, but it's so not worth it for cost efficiency. But it
Look,
looks cool.
Here's the best way to describe it. It's like, and this is from Thunderfoot. Let's take all of the problems of space travel and bring them down to the surface of the planet and build a transport network with all of these issues and creating a big, massive vessel that could implode and kill a lot of fucking people.
Hmm.
Hyperloop.
It's pure. It's pure. I want to actually see like how apps. Yeah, I had a feeling. I thought this was another thing. I thought this is the thing he did in LA. I think I'm mixing up that with his ridiculous plan to use the bullet train, whatever the hell it was, the uh the thing you just mentioned there. God, I need more coffee. Um, the
Yeah,
the
mag
yeah
lifts.
yeah that idea like he had to the ship arrives in port in like San Diego or LA or something like that, and then this one drone picks up a single fucking crate, goes over to the train, puts it inside. There's not like a single person there, and then it fires it down towards a massive depot in Vegas. And it looks so cost ineffective. Like every one of the like it can do one fucking crate at a time. And what if, yeah, as someone pointed out, what if like the thing blew up? What if someone like set off a bomb or there was a like a gas pipe accident or something like that? Like the whole
Yep.
thing would just be a giant fucking target to go at.
Now, and here's the other problem with these things, and there's a couple of really good videos on Thunderfoot's channel where he sets up experiments with vacuum chambers, pulls a vacuum on them, and then it shows you how small of a hole you need to make that vacuum no longer attainable. It's basically over a 20-kilometer track, you need about a bullet hole the size of about your pinky finger. One hole that big in a 20-kilometer long track, no matter how many, you can't have enough pumps on there to pull it down because that hole will just let air come in and you can never pull a vacuum on that thing again. And it's such a mad tussle. Do you remember, you've probably seen some footage of old shows where someone's working in a bank and they'll write something on a bit of paper, put it in a tube and
Yeah,
put in
the
that thing and you
pneumatic
hear it go
tube, yeah.
boom. That's basically the same sort of thing. It's just a vacuum tubey thing, but it's just sucking things up and yeah, that's a viable thing to use in a building to get tiny little vessels around. Upscaling this thing creates massive problems. Go and have a look. There's a video where he gets a glass tube, puts a ball bearing in it, pulls a vacuum on it, and then goes down the other end on it and smashes the vessel. Guess what the ball bearing does? Gets shot out of that thing like a fucking cannon. That's the Hyperloop capsule you're sitting in when the thing has a failure. And it's basically, how do you describe it? It's a wall of air traveling at the speed of sound that turns meat into puddles. And everybody in the Hyperloop system dies when it ruptures. They fucking die.
By the way, you weren't kidding. Look how short this this line is. Look at it. It's so tiny.
Look at the bend. Now, the bend. The
Go back.
speeds advertised were 150 miles an hour. You ain't putting a fucking Tesla 3 around that bend at fucking anything faster than 35, 40 mile an hour in that pissy little tunnel. I'm sorry, no.
There's something about this tunnel I also want to point out that not many people. Oh God, I've got the DeLorean. They got the DeLorean wings.
Yeah, the gull wings. The gull
Yeah.
wing.
Oh.
Look, we're a Lamborghini. No, you're a shitty electric car and you look like garbage. I've seen enough of these things. They look like arse. Tesla 3s look like arse. They look like shit. Horrible looking fucking cars. Blech. Yuck.
Now, here's something I want to point out. Ignoring for a second. Oh God, it looks like a bloody water when you're inside a water slide at like a theme park.
Monorail. Monorail. Monorail.
Are you noticing something very important missing from the side of the walls here? There's no emergency doors whatsoever.
And you're in a tunnel in an electric car. Have you seen what happens to Tesla 3s when they have a thermal runaway event?
Well,
Here's what the fire departments do. The fire department, in one case, were called to a Tesla burning. And it had just started burning. So you know what the fucking fire department did? The only thing they could do, they fucking whacked a cable on that thing and towed it out into the middle of a bit of barrett, like just a bare block of ground, and let it fucking burn. Because they can't put the fire out once it starts. Once your Tesla lights up, it's burning to the ground, baby. And the dude's screaming, put my car out. And the dude's trying to explain, we can't put the fire out. It's a thermal runaway event in a battery pack.
yeah, it's just burning
All of that
through now.
energy's being released right now, and we can't stop it. Sorry. And there's another one where the guy's car bursts into flames. He's in the city. Guess what happens when the car shorts out? The doors won't open and the windows won't roll down. He had to kick the fucking window out to escape the burning vehicle. Tesla. And here's the best bit. Imagine if they put the Gorilla Glass or the really tough anti-brake glass where you can't break it and you're trying to kick your way out. Show the glass being broken. Beautiful.
That was good timing on your part.
Yeah, you knew I was going to touch on this. He's the worst
Look
looking
at
car.
it. Look
An
at it.
8-year-old designed this in a fevered fucking state when they were really sick with like a bad fever. Like they're
Yeah.
tripping balls feverish, and they've got their paper and gone, yeah, and they drew that. When they got over their fever and they were better, they found that
It's
drawing, they looked
it's
at it, and
the
they went, oh fucking shit, screwed it up and threw it in the bin.
it's like what it's like what a game is trying to render in like assets, and it's got like a car coming in, and it's just there like this vague outline of it without just like a box. It looks like the cars from South Park. They just need
Yeah.
squares for wheels. Like
Now,
it's so
appa-
stupid.
apparently, to some automotive experts that know their stuff, that car is not registerable in the EU. So there's a
Yeah.
massive hole in his potential market. Look at the fucking thing. That is just pure ass. Ah!
Oh,
Oh, that was so fucking good when that happened.
one more time for good effect.
Boop.
Boo!
Oh, he booped it on the snoot, and the best bit was he looked at Elon and went, let's do the back window too. And Elon went, and guess what? They stopped doing live demos after this one. I wonder
Didn't stop with
fucking
the
why.
didn't stop him with the robot, did it? What was the name of
Well,
Elon Musk? What was Elon
that was
Musk's
the
robot?
first that was the first live kind of demo. And did you see what happened to Tesla shares after that little announcement?
Plummeted.
Dropped 10% because look at that fucking thing. Boston Dynamics were doing that shit years ago. Honda, the car company, have got robots that interact with their environment legitimately and have done so for over a decade. What Elon put on was the biggest bunch of bullshit. All of the video that shows this robot putting stuff and interacting with the environment, if you watch the thing carefully, it's all clipped together. It's not one continuous shot. You can go and watch Boston Dynamics robots dance and do parkour. Look at this fucking piece of shit. Look at it.
You're
I can
so
move my hands.
you're
Look at it.
so indignant. I
Look
love
at
it.
this fucking piece of fucking junk. Look at it. Boston Dynamics robots can parkour and do fucking somersaults. This thing, look at this. It can barely walk. This is on a
It looks like it
pre-programmed
needs
path
to.
too.
It looks like it needs to take a piss.
It's not interacting with its environment. It's been programmed to walk around in this space because they knew that they were going to have this clear space. And it waves. Look at this piece of fucking junk.
Doesn't it like collapse at one point and like people have to like lift it up?
No, that's the more advanced robot that's about to come out. And this is the basic one that actually is somewhat functional to a certain degree. I'll put it this way. Your robotic vacuum cleaner at home is smarter than that fucking thing right there. Now, if Boston Dynamics have got footage, they kick their robots over. They hit them and push them with hockey sticks and the things don't fall over. If you went up and you blew on that thing, it'd fall over. It is such a raging pile of fucking shit.
This is the fucking opening to goddamn to the Robots movie, if you remember that, with the sexy robots. It's shot in the exact same way. Only they were at least cool looking. This looks like someone in a really uncomfortable bodysuit.
Well, do you remember the first announcement of when he announced the Tesla bot? What did they do? They bought someone out. That's probably the person that did the little dance thing in the 2021 announcement.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there they are.
Yeah, look at them.
And it starts doing this stupid fucking dance in a sec. Wait for it. What a fucking load of shit.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime,
Exactly.
ragtime
It's
girl.
fucking flim flam, mate. That's all this motherfucker is flim flam. And people just,
I
the
got no
press
strings
need
to
to
hold
stop.
me down.
Look at this fucking shit.
Look how you're-
Meanwhile, Boston Dynamics are out actually fucking designing shit. And DARPA we'll touch on DARPA for a sec. This dickhead reckons he's going to make a chip so it can interface and we can become cyborgs and all that. DARPA have been making bionic fucking limbs that are so sensitive that you can pick up a fucking raw egg in this thing and manipulate it in your fucking goddamn cybernetic hand, and it's being controlled by your thoughts because DARPA have actually sussed out how to interface cybernetic. Yeah, DARPA. Fucking Elon's fucking efforts into this shit are just pathetic. Go and look at what DARPA have been doing for years.
He was kind of froze there for a second. Yeah, like this is the sort of like tech I'm thinking of, almost like approaching the era of like cyberpunk and shit, of just like it
Yeah,
looks
we're
like
there.
genuine. Yeah, it looks like the future. Elon looks like he's 10 or 20 or 30 years behind, and he's just doing everything he can to kind of look the part.
Apparently on Trevor Noah's show, they did a piece on it and they got William Shatner to narrate it. I'm still trying to find it, but it's taken the piss out of Elon. And one of the first things Elon did was invented a video game. And then you go and look at the video game. It's a reskinned Space Invaders. He didn't fucking make a video. He copied Space Invaders. That was his first real achievement, apparently, was he cloned Space Invaders. But everyone says he made his own game. It's like, no, he cloned Space Invaders. He didn't make shit. But this stuff is just what DARPA are doing is just fucking mind-blowing. So you can get this thing, you can get say your hand gets lopped off at the wrist. They'll get you to sit there, and over the years I've worked out, they hook up sensors and get people to move the thing. And sure enough, they worked out what signal does what, and now they can get people to just move these cybernetic limbs. Like the hands that I've seen are just incredible. They get raw eggs, pick them up, manipulate them, hold them in their hands, crack them. It's just fucking amazing how far it's come.
Here it is holding the paper cup. Like, yeah, it's insane. So I almost, you know what? I think if Elon really wanted to help this sort of thing, he should have just got these people and were like, how much money do you want? Here, go, do what you need to do. Like, that's
Right, so
it.
this stuff, what they're talking about now, as I've seen the Japanese researchers doing, is they're talking about artificial skin that has tactile. So when you touch something, your brain goes, "Oh, I touched something with your cybernetic fucking limb." So when you go, boop, it feels like you're touching something with your fingertip, and your brain's telling you you're touching something. Now that once you get a cybernetic limb where it's got tactile and feedback response, where you can feel like run your fingertip down a thing and feel the texture of a material, and that's what they call a DARPA hard problem. There's this saying in that community. It's called, if you got something that's DARPA hard, that's when most other companies will go way out of our league. DARPA steps in and goes, "You're all right." And it's really amazing the breakthroughs. And then you get this fucking jerk Elon Musk comes saying, "We're going to do all of these." But it's like, you can't even make a fucking robot.
Right off the bat, this is the first thing they show.
He's one thing they've been a success at. And that's not Elon. That's the SpaceX engineers have done some really fantastic work.
Well,
to get those things planned.
Elon's not done jack shit. Like, no, he's never done anything. He's a fucking trust fund baby. His dad owned a fucking emerald mine.
PayPal.
Like,
PayPal.
yeah.
PayPal. But here's the thing. SpaceX has got land. They can land these rockets. Have they hit the goal that Elon boasted about? It's like, we're going to turn these things. They're like, I think their boast was, we don't consider it reusable unless there's a turnaround time of a few hours. It's like, yeah, what's their best turnaround time, and what's the biggest percentage of a rocket that they've reused? It's like nowhere near what they said they'd be doing. It's just another case of Elon getting in public and just going blah blah blah, and all of his engineers go, "Oh Jesus Christ, I wish
Okay,
this
so
guy
this
would
is
just shut the
him.
fuck up."
This is him currently 41. New workload with Twitter, Twitter new management, and Twitter potential. So here's from the
Oh,
yeah.
Workload went up from about, I don't know, 70 to 8 hours a week to probably 120. So,
People were literally laughing at
yeah,
it there.
I go to sleep, I wake up, I work, go to sleep, wake up, work, do that 7 days a week. I'll
No,
have to do
you
that for
don't. You bitch on Twitter for you're fucking Trump.
no choice. Um, but I think once Twitter is set on the right path, I think it is a much easier thing to manage than SpaceX or Tesla. So, um,
So I'm gonna let those motherfuckers burn
I mean, I really
and go
learned
to my new
I really learned
toy.
something how to make. So I wrote software. I wrote software personally for 20 years. Um, I was one of the key people behind X.com, which became PayPal. Um,
Uh,
and so I also I'm aware of I know how to make a way better PayPal. Um,
Because you built
here
PayPal.
it comes,
yeah,
yeah.
the everything
yeah,
app.
pretty much.
This is why he
I mean,
bought Twitter.
with a lot of other
Yep.
people, but there's a product plan I wrote, which I wish
He
I
wants to
kept
make
the
it into
copy of in
WeChat
July
like the
2000,
Chinese Communist
where
Party
I
put
felt
out.
it would be possible to make the most
They've got their
valuable
little,
financial institution in the world.
Yeah,
does
they
all
have
of their
their
banking
version.
and all.
And we're going to execute that plan from 22 years ago, which amazingly no one has done.
No one.
And
Oh
so,
no, no one. You're
so
such a fucking
product
trailblazer, aren't you,
will be,
Elon?
ultimately extremely
This
valuable.
whole thing gives me an incredible vibe of like it's just all these rich people are sucking each other off. Like this is the world that he lives in, and when everyone's telling him he's doing a good job, well, of course he's gonna think he is. But now that he's in charge of Twitter, he can't escape us fucking plebs, even with the $8 fucking verification. That hasn't stopped jack shit. It's made it worse.
They've already shit
Because I
canned
just
that. Now,
Yep.
hold on. What just happened then is the same as every other fucking video, from the solar roof tiles, the Hyperloop, all of it. He said 20 years, we're gonna have all of this. It's gonna be the fuck. He just basically blurted out a bunch of shit and said, "This is gonna be awesome sometime in the future. Stay tuned." And
He's
never eventuates. This is what he does every fucking time.
He's going to execute the XCOM. Well, I didn't know the aliens were invading.
game plan from 22 years ago, with some improvements. Um, and then we're also going to obviously make Twitter just a way better system.
Oh,
It's sad to read,
good job.
if a social media company is
He had more energy when
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
talking to Elon.
taking steps to make it positive to be on that social platform, then people won't come or they'll leave. So you speak of sort of anti-Semitism or racism or anything
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Well, I mean, who's going to stay on a platform if that's prevalent? Like that.
Good question, Elon. How is all that working out? The way you're stopping, the second he said they're gonna comedy or whatever is back up, free speech is back on Twitter. You must have seen it. The sheer amount of N words just being spammed
Yep.
by people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Elon, what's the Twitter's value at the moment? What's that? You've burnt $3 billion off the value of the company
we were looking at that
within a week.
just a little earlier. Let's just have a quick look at that because yeah, I want to see like uh Elon Musk Twitter stock price. $54.20 per share. I'm guessing can I buy Twitter stock now? Probably. It's probably a lot cheaper. Twitter pauses paid verification. Abuse told Twitter employees. First company meeting. No incidents are free. We always kind of looked at that one. Yeah, but I want to actually have a look at the actual price, the actual the Twitter stock price.
Well, apparently, within the last 12 months, Elon Musk's value has dropped from, I think he had 360. He's basically lost half of his wealth.
Well,
It's just melted away.
this is saying it's all going up right here. Returns 7.3, 3 months a year. 5-year return of nearly 200%. Market cap of 40 billion. Oh wait, yeah, no, market cap 40 billion. Didn't he buy it for 44?
Yep. So it's burnt 4 billion now. It was 3 billion when Thunderfoot made his video. So he's burned another billion off the value of it. So that's 4 billion gone, just up in fucking smoke. What? Disappeared. Bye-bye. And according now, I'm going to quote a lot of Thunderfoot's videos, but Thunderfoot usually at least does basic research and gets his shit right. So if anyone can prove what Thunderfoot says is wrong in his videos, please let me know. I'm quite happy to be corrected. But yeah, he's just melting the value off that fucking company. Its face is fucking just literally gone. All of the big advertisers are going, yep, we're out. And then he went, Elon, his response to the big advertisers ceasing to advertise is, I will go thermonuclear and name and shame all of these companies that are pulling the plug because of the lefties.
Yeah. Yeah, he said it
Remember
was
that shit?
yeah, it was the activists. Yeah.
So all of the really big companies went, okay, you're going to thermonuclear. How about we just don't give you any money and see how long you fucking survive? Because
Look,
we know that the
it
main...
has actually, he has brought up nothing compared to what it was. So this is what I was looking at. Look here on this year, by the looks of it, it has been well, this year, Christ, 20. Wow, it's kept on dropping it. At one point it was 70 a share. Now it's currently 53. But the lowest it got was, Jesus, 34.
Right. Now, when did he start buying all of his stuff? And what's he going to, what's one of the things he's going to court for right now? Oh, that's right. Getting on Twitter, making outrageous claims and manipulating stock prices.
Mm.
And he's been warned about that before. Why isn't he the CEO of Tesla anymore since 2018? Why is that? It was part of a settlement for fraud.
Here we go. This is what you were talking about.
From one drama to another, the Elon Musk Twitter saga rolls on as the company's...
Oh shit. What happened there? What happened? Don't do that to me. Don't do that. There we go.
From one drama to
Rude.
another, the Elon Musk
Very.
Twitter saga rolls on as the company's new owner addressed employees for the first time since purchasing the company. During an all-hands meeting Thursday, Musk stated that bankruptcy
That's a great picture of a billionaire right there.
isn't out
See, guys, I'm just like you.
of the question if Twitter doesn't start generating more cash. You mean not everybody's buying for a verified check mark on their account?
Well, I know Julian Hyman is not buying the verified
surely,
check mark. Yeah, I'm not a big supporter. But one of the benefits of this situation is that you can go back to Twitter's financials because this, up until recently, of course, it was a public company. Twitter's been losing money for a long period of time. So is it any surprise that bank?
All right, let's follow this line, okay? Musk allowance 10% of Twitter, offers to buy Twitter. We all didn't actually think he was going to go through with it because we didn't think he was. We thought he had a different game plan. Instead, it started to go through and then it fell apart. You remember that? And then it was like there was like someone was going to go to court over it and shit like that. And eventually he had to go through and buy it. Yeah, like this is a Musk says his bid can't move forward. Twitter files suit against Musk in September. Twitter shareholders vote to approve Musk's bid. Musk agrees to buy Twitter for the original price. Oh yeah. Twitter cuts nearly 50% of staff. Musk warns of possible bankruptcy. All in a month.
Yeah, so days before it was going to go to court, Elon was going to lose that case and he was going to have to buy Twitter.
Mm.
So he just thought he was told by his people, you basically said yes, I want to buy Twitter and fucking sign an agreement, and then you went, oh, I don't want it anymore because of reasons. Well, no, and that's what's fucked him.
Mhm.
He's bought the worst website on the fucking planet. Yes, it's potentially, from what I understand, it's got the most traffic, but it's
There's a
still the shittiest website on the planet. It doesn't matter if it's got lots of traffic. It's still a shitty website.
Yep. It's got the most potential for growth if someone knew what to do with it. Guess who doesn't know what to fucking do with it?
Bankruptcy would be on the table. So that is, I wouldn't say it's a shocker. In addition, now this is a company with a significant amount of debt on the balance sheet. So you take a company already losing large sums of money, you tack on more debt. Could be something that is in play next year.
I think what we can say with near certainty at this point is Elon Musk is not good at taking companies private. Twitter, funding
Right.
secured.
I'm on the
well,
I'm on NASDAQ's website right now, and what is Twitter's net worth? This is NASDAQ. This is people that know their shit. According to NASDAQ, investors use market capitalization, or market cap for short, to gauge a company's worth, and the market cap is just all the company's stock combined. Twitter's market cap as of August 3, 2022 was 31.34 billion. Elon paid 44. Twitter's net worth 13.316 billion. So based on Twitter's revenue and profits from the last 3 years, Twitter's worth is 13.316 billion. Elon paid 44.
Oh, I'm so understanding why I saw a lot of do you remember from the Dark Knight when the Joker said that he wanted half of all their money to kill the Batman, and when he got it, it was all in cash, and then he set fire to all the money, and when they were like, "What are you doing?" "I'm just burning my half," you know. It's yeah, I'm glad all that money went. I'm glad all that money went because he's never going to get that back. He's so he's so run out of like any ridiculous clout except for like the hardliners, that it's only gonna go downhill because where else is he gonna get money from on that scale that quickly to go on another one of these stupid investments? But now he's also stuck with he made it private, right? He made a Twitter private, right? So he has final decision on everything, and it seems that every decision he makes is a failure. So he's losing his personal money over and over and over and over and over and over again, but he's not putting it back in. Well, eventually he's going to run up with an empty bank account, and I love it. I just love it. Um, uh, the fact that it's also happening to him, who is, well, he's just an unlikable asshole with very obnoxious fans who are, as we pointed out earlier, getting increasingly more and more quiet. You know?
he did secure the funding there, but Tesla, yeah, that was the infamous tweet, of course, that fired off there. This being the first kind of 2 weeks that he's been at the helm of Twitter, you've had some of the key executives either resign or some of them be fired. Some of them it was part of the kind of takeover, and
Good for them.
And good for them.
Get out. Go work at some place where you can make a difference. This has been chaos. Brad, I've never seen a situation like this before.
It's really the question of, for the employees that are high up enough, or any employee within the Twitter ranks right now, do you still want to have that on your resume, where Elon Musk is going to be just fine? He might have some people that are coming after him for some money, and he'll eventually be able to pay that back. But if you're someone who's trying to make sure that you're able to continue to build a career trajectory, and you're trying not to be either part of the layoff.
Look at this. The blue bird has now been added into this long list of failures. Although I think it'll be the last of the icons put in. I don't think he's got anything else in him on that par. Like he'll maybe create a spin-off company of something else that he's going to keep on going. But like we were looking at the Boring Company earlier, and we're probably going to look at. Oh, I want to show the video from Adam something about the dugout, the fucking dugout stuff, which is the same as the Boring Company, but like the same as the Boring Company that we looked at earlier, the Vegas stuff. But it has to do with buses, and he makes buses bougie. Like he makes them isolated and like only for rich people. It's fuck. This is this is so fucking scary that he's so wealthy and so stupid and so inept. Like he kind of defeats the argument that like libertarians have and people like that of like what do you call them? Of like, oh well, he must be doing he must be incredibly wealthy. He's he must be incredibly smart. He's very wealthy. You know, like no.
No,
Um,
his dad was incredibly wealthy, and he got a silver spoon shoved up his butt, and that enabled him to go on and do some shit. It's funnily enough, when you get a big bucket of money, you can go and create a bunch of wealth with it. It's a lot easier to create wealth with a bucket of money behind you than just starting out with your bare hands. Like he got a pretty good leg up on the situation early on, and that's okay. He went on to do some like I'm not a fan of PayPal. I'm not a fan of just about anything this man's ever touched. It's
he
just uncanny how he's managed to have his fingers in so many pies and everything. He's got sexy fingers.
You
Everything he
might have heard
touches, he fucks.
he is he's marketable because everyone wants him to be like the Tony Stark. In this day and age, we don't have the we don't have the Edison, we don't have we don't have the real Nikola Tesla. We don't have on like on the that sort of like stage. The closest we'd have is what like well Stephen Hawking's dead. Like the scientists, we still have some scientists that are pretty cool, but they're not like businessmen. Um,
Yeah, we got like there's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
yeah.
You had people like sadly Feynman's not with us anymore, but we got people like Landon who were mentored by Feynman, who I would argue is potentially the brightest spark humanity may have ever popped off. You know, the Feynman symbols, how what he did with that and how you can work out physics. Like Landon did an experiment and got a caveman, me, and then showed the caveman a Feynman symbol. And the caveman nutted out without any help. 95% of it was a antimatter interaction. And the last bit I didn't get was the X-rays zipping off into buggery to start the whole thing off again.
You did better
This
than
man
me when he
create
tried it.
this man created symbols that I could interpret that represented fucking parts of physics. This is how fucking smart Feynman was. Elon Musk goes around and says, I'm going to fucking make this thing called the Hyperloop. And it's a 100-year-old idea.
about the Boring Company's latest project, the Las Vegas Loop, which is 3 taxi stands under a convention center connected by a two-way tunnel where we can drive sports cars real fast. But have you also heard about Elon
No,
Musk's other
can't
project?
drive them
It's called
fast.
Right?
the Dugout Loop,
35 mile
and
an hour speed
incredibly
limit.
it's even stupider than the Las Vegas Loop. It was already bad enough to build tunnels for Tesla cars that operate as taxis, but wait until you get a load
Fucking colonoscopy of a PS5 going on right there.
of this shit. So they wanted to connect the Vermont Sunset Metro station with Dodger Stadium. Having been built in the 60s, the stadium of course has no good public transportation connection because, you know, cars. And so the parking lot of the stadium is more than 12 times the size of the actual stadium. When I first saw this photo, I thought this was some kind of 3D render with some like low-res terrain textures around the stadium, and then I saw that it's just a parking lot. It's like, holy shit. Like this looks great.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about urban planning, the place where you should actually
Hey,
start when
all
you want
those
to fix
homeless people. Oh, let's stop. I've just had this idea. Imagine if you took all of the car parks just from that facility and built some homes for people in that city. All right.
Yeah,
You
but
could,
then
you could,
how would all the people get to go inside the stadium to look at all the advertisements?
yeah. Well, you know what? Why not knock the stadium down and build a couple more houses? Well, shit, I shouldn't have said that out loud. Now I'm for it. Oh no. Not a. That was a lot of wasted space. I'll get to the point. Those car parks. Did you see the size of the fucking, just the amount of fucking terrain those things? Look at that shit. That's insane.
There's a hospital. It would fit inside here numerous times. One of those little strips is a house. This is an airport. This is Heathrow. This is Dubai. Like
That space isn't utilised unless there's a fucking game on at that stadium. And I'm guessing that that's just a football team stadium. It's not like in where I live, a lot of sports teams will share ovals. So there'll be a Aussie rules team and a rugby league team, and maybe the cricket team will use it during the summer. And it'll be multi-purpose. I'm guessing that's just for
baseball, like
America.
the diamond.
So that's just for fuck.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, oh, you're right. It's a diamond show. So that's just for fucking baseball. That's not a multi-purpose field. That's just for baseball.
I love
And
how
those car parks look all empty. You could. What if you set up market stalls there and had like a market there during the week?
right. Hell, you can't even see all of it in this picture. It goes off. There's more
It's insane. Look
and
at
more down there.
It's just dead space, isn't it? It's unless there's a game on for baseball. So 6 months of the year, that place just sits idle completely because it's not being played all year. It's a summer sport, right? Holy fucking! This dude's really exposing the problem with car culture. I've never realised it myself.
Same.
That's such a massive waste of space.
Not only bikes is also a great channel for the exact same thing. Pointing out he's a city planner, and he lives in Amsterdam, and he's bikes everywhere. But he's originally from Houston, and he talks about the difference between all the wrong things about American cities and all the right things that they could learn from the rest of the world. And a lot of it boils down to one more lane, cars, no pathways, no public transport. And sometimes if they do public transport, it's like, how would people cross the street? You know, like there's so many little things no one really thinks about. But yeah, Adam something's like this. Real life lore is also another good channel for that.
That is
And so let's talk about
amazing.
urban planning,
Just-
the
wow.
place where you should actually start when you want to fix traffic issues instead of going with these flashy bullshit projects. In front of you, you can see the Great Strahovski Stadium of Prague, which is about 2 times the size of Dodger Stadium. And next to it, there are 3 other stadiums, actually, 2 mid-sized and 1 smaller. Now, Strahovski is an absolute fucking monster. It can accommodate 250,000 people, of which 56,000
Holy fuck.
seated, which also happens to be the total capacity of Dodger Stadium. And next to it is the Evgena Roshitského Stadium with a capacity of 19,000 people. So these are the available parking areas around the stadiums, marked with red. Now, having just seen that disaster show around the Dodger Stadium, you might ask, how the fuck is this possible? And the answer is, of course, good public transportation. Now, the metro lines don't actually stop at the stadium. As you can see, the green and the yellow metros actually give a wide berth to the stadium itself. So how do people get to the matches? By buses and trams that all stop next to or near the stadiums. And there's also a cable car, actually. And I'm telling you all this to show you that even the largest stadium in the world, plus 3 other stadiums around it, could be served by adjacent tram and bus lines. You know, it's not
If Americans designed this, each one of these would be a car.
like there's a metro line stopping underneath the stadium or something. Instead, what you do is get off at the tram station and walk over to the stadium. Or, you know, just take a bus. So with this in mind, let's return to Dodger Stadium. The Boring Company wanted to start digging from the stadium's parking lot to the Vermont Sunset Station underneath the road, neatly following its route because of public right-of-way, otherwise they would need to acquire costly easements if they would be tunneling under private property. So this is a picture of the western terminus of the dugout loop. Now this is the entire station. This is not part of it, this is the whole thing. Now that being said, can you see what the problem is? I'm gonna leave you a few seconds. Have you noticed? The whole system has one tunnel. A single one-way tunnel connecting the metro line and the stadium parking lot. So, how is this system supposed to operate? Let's take a look. They plan on running these autonomous electric pods in them, capable of transporting 16 people each. Now, for comparison, that is almost 20% of a regular bus and around 10% of an articulated bus. So right off the bat, we got terrible efficiency. And this is called economy of scale. It's much more economical and environmentally friendly to have one big motor transport a lot of people at the same time than to have lots of smaller motors transporting smaller quantities of people. So
You know, one of the best examples of a non like subway version of a subway I ever saw was the plane train. It was either in Atlanta or it was in Chicago's O'Hare. I think it's in Atlanta. And every 3 minutes it pulls in. It's in the airport itself, and it just connects other parts of the airport. And every 3 minutes it pulls in, you get on, you get off, and you've just like scaled the entire length and breadth of the airport over and over and over again. It's in constant use, it's always on time, and my God, it is always packed full of the countless, probably millions of people who go through Atlanta, and it's so different to like Heathrow, which uses these really like simple buses that take forever to get from A to B to C to D, and they often have to go out onto the main road. Like the like you drive down into like the motorway to then come out again and up into another terminal. It's actually a little bit off-putting first time I did it because I thought I took the wrong bus and I was like going to miss my connection flight because I was going to end up in like a train station somewhere, you know. But like it's so it's I've always actually thought one thing that could be really a smart idea would be kind of like just have these just this one chain of carts connected at all times, and they were always connected. Let's go one, two, like they click every few minutes. They move on forward, 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 forward into the next one. I'm sure there's some downside of that, rather than have them as separate trains instead of just having one big snake of a train. Probably if one broke down, if one cart like jammed, they'd all jam, I suppose. But there's we have really like peaked at the train. It's just trying to make them like more cost effective rather than the opposite of what Elon's
here
doing.
the logical solution would be to increase the pod's capacity. But that can't be done.
You just stuck two together.
That's impossible. You see, these are pods, pods, not a minibus. So yeah, this is a problem you notice with a lot of these futuristic bullshit projects. It's not buses or trains for the sake of not being buses or trains. They're pods. But I'm just gonna call the dugout loop pods minibuses because that's what they are. And you might think that these vehicles have like a fixed route, basically a single line between point A and point B. They would be running on rails because, you know, that's the most efficient way of running fixed route things from point A to point B with minimal friction. But nope, the tunnel will be paved and the minibuses will have rubber wheels. You
Yeah.
know, I wonder why they just don't sink some rails into the asphalt, like tram tracks, for example, and then have these vehicles have two modes, which is a technology we do have and use. These are road vehicles that can change between rubber wheels and steel wheels. So if the Boring Company didn't
Hold
want
on
to
a
mess
sec,
with...
dude. I've seen a guy who's made a electric push bike. So you can ride it on the road, and he gets off it, and he attaches a few things, and then he sits it on the rail. It's got an outrigger, so one of them's going onto the other rail, and he gets on old disused railway tracks and just starts burning along them.
That's
And
cool.
it's brilliant. It's you can just tell the bike's doing bugger all work on the rail because it's really efficient. Steel on steel down a railway track is far more efficient than rubber on asphalt.
stuff that is beyond its expertise, like switches, for example. They could just build a long straight tunnel with some tram tracks sunk into the asphalt, and at the beginning and the end, the vehicles just quickly switch between their wheels. But first off, that would look too much like a train, which we can't have, of course. And second, inconvenient questions might arise, such as, okay, why don't we run like a tram in it instead? Or a light metro or something. Yeah, that sounds good. So then, why are we bothering with these minibuses again? Wait, what? No, shut up. The Emperor's clothes are beautiful. It's just that stupid people can't see them. So the trip time between the metro stop and the stadium parking lot will be just under 4 minutes, according to the website. And this will be achieved by these minibuses traveling at up to 150 miles per hour, which is 240 kilometers per hour, on this
No, they
stretch of
won't.
3.6 miles, or 5.8 kilometers. And the problem is, this doesn't seem to be possible, because the curves are just too goddamn narrow.
Oh my God. From Futurama, I don't see you with a fungineer degree.
Exactly.
We're
Now,
whalers on the moon.
Now, just let's talk about physics for a sec, kids. Now, we've all been in a car that's been driven by a friend that's, we'll just say, maybe exceeding the speed limit slightly,
Smith.
and thinking that they may be in the movie Fast and the Furious. Maybe they're thinking that in that frame of mind as they go around a corner a little bit faster than you normally do. And you know that thing that happens is you'll be sitting there as the car's going straight, and as you go to the corner, you move towards the outside of the corner where so you're doing a left. You will be thrown to the right hand side of the car because of, you know, physics and stuff.
Slam.
So if you're in a pod, right, and it's doing 240 kilometers an hour. I want to give you an idea. In Australia, there's a race called the Bathurst 1000, the King of the Hill. These cars pull 200 and something kilometers an hour going down Conrod fucking Straight. Now, I've seen a few accidents at the end of Conrod Straight where they actually had to put a big curve turn in to slow people down because people were dying at the end of Conrod Straight doing 200 and something kilometers an hour. So there's no way in hell. See all of these things where it goes, and there's a turn, and then there's all these squiggly bits, and then there's more turns. You're not hitting those things at anywhere near 240. You're probably doing 40 kilometers an hour, maybe 50 in this tunnel, tops. You ain't
And
doing
if you look at this
200
curve in
fucking
normal
40.
Illinois, thanks for the idea, Do Not Eat, this thing was designed for traffic going 100 miles per hour, which is only 2/3 of what the Boring Company wants to do with the dugout loop. So here it is overlaid on the dugout loop's route. So as you can see, the dugout loop's proposed route would not work with even 100 miles per hour, much less with 150. But putting aside all of that, there's a second problem, namely tire wear. If you don't want too much tire wear, you have to avoid two things: high speeds and frequent acceleration and deceleration, which is incidentally what these minibuses would do. You know, I'm glad that the Boring Company is all about zero emissions, but this noble goal is kind of overshadowed if you're producing tons of rubber waste every month. Man, if only there was a solution. But believe it or not, what you've heard so far is not the stupidest part of this project. So let's move on to how the Boring Company actually plans to operate this thing. Oh boy. So as I said before, the metro stop and the parking lot of the stadium will be connected by a single tunnel. And to use it, you need to buy a ticket at the ticket office or in an app, get to the station at the specified time, get transported to the stadium, watch the match, and then go back down to the dugout loop, which will then take you back to the metro stop. As they write on their website, dugout loop operation during games and special events will be event specific. Generally, transportation from the western terminus to Dodger Stadium will begin prior to event start times. Transport from Dodger Stadium to the western terminus will generally commence sometime following the start of the event. Which is, you know, it's a system where... What? So basically,
Hold on,
Elon Musk
wait a second. So they've got a single tunnel running from point A to point B. Point A will say is the car park away from the stadium. Point B is the stadium. So before game time, you're going to run all of the fucking people from point A to point B. How many pods have you got parked at point A? You want to have a lot of pods because how are you getting, if there's just one single tunnel and it's the width of one pod, how are you getting pods back from point A, from point B to point A to get more people into the stadium before the game time? Unless they've got 1,000 pods lined up in a big long tube and they're just going click, click, click and spitting them out like a fucking Pez dispenser, this is really not going to work in any way, shape or form whatsoever.
What if they're all just, according to the picture there, they're all lined up, ready to go, which means that ironically enough, you're probably going to need a very big car park.
It's a big Pez dispenser of pods then underground, and it's spitting them in one direction before the game, and then it spits them back the other direction. So
From Dodger
they
Stadium
can't
to the
reload the
Western
Pez
Terminus,
dispenser.
and he put a fucking
What
tunnel
the
over it.
fuck?
So basically, Elon Musk invented a shitty route taxi, and he put a fucking tunnel over it for some reason. So, okay, so since this is an extremely time-specific service, meaning it only runs in very, very specific times, why don't we just ditch the tunnel idea? Yeah, so let's have these pods run on the surface, make them bigger, and so voila. Let's call it the Dodger Stadium Express. Now, some of you might be saying, hang on a second, the whole point of the dugout loop is that it's a fast, dedicated lane system. To which I say, let's take one of the 5 lanes of the road leading to the stadium and convert 1 or 2 into a bus lane for the time of the event. And if you want to make it really fast, we can employ this technology that every Western European city already employs, called automatic green wave for buses. Right, so let's move on to capacity. The Boring Company website says, initially, dugout loop will be limited to approximately 1,400 people, approximately 2.5% of stadium capacity per event. Based on city and community feedback, it could be possible to increase ridership per game to 2,800 per game or event, 5% of stadium capacity. Between games and events, dugout loop would transport 250,000 people per year. Wait, between games? So they actually do want to use this as like normal public transportation outside of events. Okay, so 250,000 people per year. This might sound a lot actually, but as a European, I have to say like this number is nothing. Like this is nothing. This is shit. You don't have anything. This is not public transportation. And to illustrate this point, let's look at the closest thing I know to the dugout loop in Europe. I mean, it sounds funny, but it's actually kind of similar. And it's the Budapest M1 metro line, or Millenniumi Föld alatti vasút, built during the late 19th century and thus was the first electrified metro service on the continent. It was a small, electric, underground, environmentally friendly express service going just underneath the Andrássy Avenue from the city center all the way to the giant park that's behind Hero Square. So what they did was they actually dug out the road, built the tunnels and then filled it back up. It took 2 years to complete and it's operational to this day. Originally they ran these small Siemens carriages on it, which I guess were the pods of the era. And apparently one of the original cars is today in the Seashore Trolley Museum in Kennebunkport, Maine. Which, you know, that's cool. These metro cars were later replaced by trains of Hungarian production, which were higher in capacity, but the system itself is still tiny. This is by no means a regular metro service. It's a little baby line. And yet, this thing transports 80,000 passengers on each workday. And if we assume that the number of passengers is only half on weekends, then this tiny toy metro transports 25,120,000 passengers each year. And so
Euro trash flex.
this is what the passenger numbers look like when I put them on a graph. Compared to the toy metro,
Wrong
the
again,
dugout loop
Elon.
is barely a statistical error. And if we compare this to a normal metro line like the M3, and using the same formula, we get this graph. I'm showing you this just for the sake of perspective. The dugout loop is nothing. It does nothing. It serves no one. It doesn't even exist when compared to like normal, well-designed systems. And you might be saying, hey, it's a bit unfair to compare the dugout loop to the M3 metro. And yes, it is. So I just compare it to the M1, which is actually shorter than the dugout loop. And they could actually finish it in 2 years using 19th century technology. Meanwhile, the Boring Company said they would do the dugout loop in 14 months, using Elon's fucking magic space age technology. Hey, but they did say likely much less in parentheses there, so it's okay. You know, construction projects historically finish on time and never get delayed. And mind you, it's 14 months for a single tunnel.
Elon magic.
Whereas with the M1 metro, they had to dig a tunnel twice as wide. And don't forget that they had to build a bunch of stations as well. In contrast, the Las Vegas loop, which is unfortunately happening, took 16 months to complete, while being less than a fourth of the length of the proposed dugout loop, at 0.8 miles or 1.3 kilometers. So basically the dugout loop was a complete fucking failure on all levels. Literally, I cannot think of a single aspect which the dugout loop got right. Its layout is nonsensical, it has no capacity, is not interoperable with any other systems, it has horribly inefficient energy use, and worst...
If I'm right, isn't it just an excuse for like wealthy people? Like it's designed in theory for like the for rich people so they don't have to deal with like traffic jams.
First of all, had this thing been built, it would have pushed out actually useful public transportation investment in the area. So what would be an actual good solution here? What could the area do instead of the dugout loop? Well, for example, build a tram. Take 2 lanes from Sunset Boulevard and turn them into dedicated tram tracks. Lord knows there is enough space for that. And this will actually not cause traffic jams, because induced demand works the other way around as well. You could put a tram stop next to the stadium and perhaps turn part of the parking lot into actual useful public space, such as a city park or something. In general, though, traffic problems will not go away.
I think that one there isn't that LA?
Jesus wept.
Look at that. Sometimes I see like Dover Castle with the ferries that can get backtracked, and I'm thinking, oh, that's terrible. Then I'm like, yeah, remember the fucking Jersey Turnpike? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. And again, do you see a single fucking bus here? I don't. I think there's some here, but they're like fucking greyhounds. They're going between cities. But here, cars, endless cars, and every one of those can't be guaranteed to be bought right off. How many people are like paying through their teeth on their their fucking loans? They all have to be insured. They all have to be fucking they all
Yeah.
have they cost a fortune just to maintain and constantly keep fueled. Good
Yep.
thing, you know, it's just this endless. It's like when you get a car, especially in America, I've always thought that like somebody takes a lighter to your wallet, starts setting it on fire, and that will not go out ever. Like it will always
Yeah.
burn. It won't burn much, but it will always burn, and you can never not
I'm
unburn it.
I am toying with the idea of actually getting rid of my ute and buying a decent bike that's, got a motor on it and a little battery pack and zip around town on that bastard. Because it's my car, it's $2, around $2.20 a litre fuel hit last week. So $2.20 a litre, not a gallon, $2.20 a fucking litre.
See
And
what's
that's for
burn.
the cheap shit E10 fuel, the ethanol blend. The really good stuff's $2.40 a litre. Registration about $1,000 a year. Insurance about $1,000 a year. It's not cheap owning a car these days. I'm starting to question the value of it.
What? Let's see. My one. I could try to remember what it was up near where I lived. Um. I was up there like a day or two yesterday. My one is like here, so I have no idea why it's not showing. But yeah, let's have a look at the actual current price. Yeah, how much is a liter of petrol right now? Uh, average value, uh, octane. We show prices. Let's have. Oh, price has gone down a bit. Oh, that's right. It was actually pretty high. Uh, a few weeks back, and it was getting really high too. Which obviously that once it hits a certain threshold, that starts affecting every facet of everyone's life. Because of course, where do you get your food from? Well, it comes from the shop, and where did the shop get it? Well, every morning a bunch of trucks pull in, and what do trucks run on? Oh yeah, the average value of Dublin period was
Oh, diesel.
yeah.
Diesel's even more expensive in Australia per litre. Hold on, I'll get you the current fuel prices in Australia. Strap in, kids. This is going to be great.
So it has luckily gone down a bit. Average price of gasoline in the world for this period is 1.85 euro. Prices in gallons, fuel down price. Uh, um,
Holy shit! I wish I filled up this morning because it's dropped down to $1.74 a litre,
oh,
which is roughly what it is in your neck of the woods too. Here we go. So a couple of the servos are being cheeky buggers. Funnily enough, $2.14.8 0.9 a litre. And that's for 91. So that's for not the ethanol blend, but it's the cheapest fuel.
Hmm.
Let's look at diesel prices. Ready, kids? Wait for it.
This will be fun.
Uh-oh, let's get ready for the pain. $2.31, $2.37, $2.39 for a litre of diesel at the local fuel stations.
That is not good. And on the same topic, the war with in Ukraine has gotten gas prices like our gas, home gas fuel, skyrocketing in price too. I'm terrified to go
Yeah.
on the my electric company's website. I think last time I checked, it goes up 100 a week.
Yeah, thanks to OPEC, they decided it's like, oh yeah, there's war in Ukraine. Really good time to just
Yeah.
restrict fucking, supply. So we're gonna slow down production. It's like,
Now, I will
uh,
say the Irish government has tried its best in the form of a 500 per person benefit package, what I'll get in the next few weeks. I might even get it this week. And same goes for my roommate. So it's unlikely that this electric bill is going to hit 1,000. So we should be okay. But on that note, I do want to point people out that we do have a stream goal to reach. So any money greatly appreciated. Also, I link in the doobly doo. Also, I do have my weights with me, so if anyone donates, I will do the old arm curls. Because that's probably one of the good things I've been doing a lot as of late. I've been really just getting into just fucking doing a set of 12 of them. It's really weird feeling actual, like, if not muscle, then I don't know, tension in my arm. It's terrifying. I love it.
by
yeah,
just
I
throwing
know.
capacity
I've been out in the
at
garden
it, which is
digging
what the boring
holes.
company does basically.
Yeah, you're probably getting a way better overall workouts because you're moving more of your body.
Oh, your highway is congested? Well, let's just build some more lanes, but underground. Because increasing capacity worked out so well in the past. But here's the thing. Even if they would solve all the traffic problems, even if they would build enough tunnels so that there will be no more traffic jams at all, like anywhere, just zero, that would still be a very, very bad thing. Because if you provide everyone with road capacity so that they can drive, then everyone will
Well,
drive.
drive.
Driving itself is actually very cost and time efficient on short and middle distances, and also it's much more comfortable than public transit. However, the bad part is everything else. Cars are horribly space inefficient, they make us fatter, they cost a lot of money to buy, maintain and operate, they kill a lot of people, and producing them is actually very environmentally unfriendly, especially with the batteries and all that. And even if some of these problems could be alleviated by gigantic underground tunnel systems and parking lot complexes, switching over society to cars would produce a lot of socioeconomic and environmental fallout for places that don't have these things. In Prague, they built this huge system of underground highways to alleviate the traffic problems. And guess what? It didn't solve anything. In fact, it only made the problems worse. 8 out of 10 people from around the city commute into the city by car. And the result is clogged up streets and constant traffic jams in the places where there aren't any highway tunnels. In the end, we should focus on building urban areas where having a car is not a necessity, or even disincentivized. If you want to
Barcelona is pretty great for that. It's the way it's designed is heavily focused on like at most mopeds or buses, but more people just walk. It's such a different thing from say when you go out past Chicago in America, all the cities become just solely focused around the car. Like Omaha is a fucking nightmare to walk around. Um, Des Moines was a fucking nightmare to walk around. Um, like it, I do not like once you pass the Mississippi, any chance of the cities being like walkable just go out the window except for like the bougie rich part of town. Um, uh, outside like the very artistic, sort of gentrified part of town, because the rest of it, and that's assuming a town even has that, the rest of it is just going to be like cars everywhere, and so no one can do it. Like I don't know how I haven't been run over, because I've walked across, I've had to jump across highways. It's been um there's it makes you like long for the days of just like sticking your hand out and a car stops. You know? Um,
Yeah, it's the way America and Australia and a lot of countries sort of based the whole of the way they build cities off vehicles. It's kind of weird. We forgot that people live in cities, not cars. We should stop building the cities for cars and maybe build them in a way where we can get people around on mass transit systems like trains and trams and the like. Cities with rivers can make use of ferries,
oh yeah.
and that's not a bad way to go. Like, and a nice little ferry ride in the middle of your day is quite relaxing. Just 5 minute boat ride across the river. Before they shit, I remember in my town when we were growing up. I'm showing my age now, but there was places where you had to get a ferry across the river because they just weren't building the bridges yet. And now in these places, you go and look at the place where you used to cross on a ferry, and you go, holy shit, there's like a 6-lane fucking bridge there now that's full of traffic because we built the towns around cars instead of people. In Australia's a little bit different because we're such a there's a lot of space between big cities, so we should have invested more in rail. We definitely fucked up there. That's the first thing I can happily admit is we should have listened to Bob Brown from the Greens decades ago and started investing in high speed and not super high speed rail. I'm not talking maglev 500 mile an hour. Things that can pull 150 kilometers an hour on a nice bit of straight track. We should have heavily invested in that because it's just really efficient way to get shit around town.
It it like there's so many um well, actually this is probably a good comparison actually.
This
Um like it's so we need more walkable cities. And European cities by default, because they're so old, obviously they were much smaller back in the day, so you're walking around them. Um but in America, the way cities are built, there is an intention to it, because no one ever, like when they're designing a new area of a city in America, they don't go out of their way to be like, all right, let's go out of let's make an active effort to get people to stop driving a car. Instead, they're probably a good chunk of it are paid by the automotive industry. LA is probably the best example of that. Like the whole reason they're uh, public transit sucks is basically the plot of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like they knocked down a huge sway of the city and expanded outwards to build highways because the automotive industry was bankrolling a particular politician. Like who would also be like doing everything he can to shoot down the idea of like trams. Trams are so cool. They're so useful to get around, and like no one uses them nearly as much anymore. Dublin has become so much more tolerable, in my opinion, ever since the Lewis. Before we get into this video, I just want to quickly show the Lewis. I've shown it before on like hell. I think I've done a video from it. Lewis, Dublin. The Lewis for years was threatened. It was basically just a reconstruction of the old tram lines from back in the day. And as you can see here from the map, it overlaps on all our other public transport, and it also like these gray ones are the subways, not the subway, the light rail, the DART as it's called. but it's eventually connects up to the city center, and it does most of the city center, and it goes pretty far out. When I come in from here, here's the Sligo rail. That's the one I take. Longford is just within reach. Holy shit, Ireland is tiny. But it makes life so much easier because everything is already nice and like crushed in Dublin. So if you can just save the extra walk, you can just bolt your way down there. But it's also a great way of connecting the two rail lines. If you're coming in, say, from Belfast, um, you'd eventually hit into Colney, hop on the red line here, and you can go down to like here, which is where's Houston? Houston. Where's Houston? Is it on the red line? There it is. Yeah. You just follow this right down, and then you can connect to the rest of Ireland. So you can start your day in Belfast, and in a few hours you can be down in Cork. That's the entire length and breadth of the country. And this saves you grabbing a bus which might not be always available, or walking it, which is not always available in Irish weather, the way it's always lashing rain. It also will help you connect the flight better because one thing I don't like about Irish, the Dublin layout, is that we don't have any train or tram connection to our airport. Because I was raised around here, and we were right on the edge of Dublin Airport, so we were always told year in year out we're going to get a train line, and then they never do it. And now they're expanding outwards because this is where all the money is these days, City West. And of course, that meant a new line. They got themselves a new Lewis line. So it's got a lot of politics. It's not going to fix everything. It doesn't fix everything, but it has made a big. The only time it slows down traffic is when a new area is being built. And once it's built, you notice the change. Dublin city centre, parts of it are now going completely carless. It's completely
Yep.
unnecessary. It's great to see, and it doesn't affect traffic after it's built. It helps traffic after it's built. Um,
Yeah, it's look, I just wanted to touch on this really quickly too. We're getting back to the design of cities. Now, a lot of places in Europe, for instance, I'll speak of, I won't mention who she is, but she'll know who I'm, yeah. She lives in a place called Bergen in Norway.
I know it.
That village, that place has been there for over 800 fucking years, right? So it's had the benefit of evolving over hundreds and hundreds of years before cars were a thing. So this place has been designed to be very citizen friendly and horse and cart friendly, and
Hmm.
it'd be a totally different thing. I imagine it's been modernized somewhat and evolved, but I guarantee it'd be a lot easier to get around Bergen than it is to get around my city. For instance, where I live, we've got a rail line coming from the capital, and it comes down to the Gold Coast where I live. But then halfway down the Gold Coast, it just abruptly stops. So half of the city does not get the benefit of the rail line. You've got to drive in your car up halfway up the Gold Coast, park at the Rabina train station, and then get on the train to go to Brisbane. And no one really, all the citizens sort of went, what? Why didn't you run it all the way to Coolangatta and the border, or even better, make an agreement with the New South Wales regional councils and run it over to Tweed Heads or maybe even down to Kingscliff? Because here's what happened back in the day. There was a bloke named Sergio Biocupitis and used to run my state, and his great idea was we're going to build a rail network, but our rail network in our state was a different gauge line to the rest of Australia. I'm not kidding. So when a
They
train came to the
they
border of
stopped
our
doing that.
state,
Yeah, they'd have to switch it out. They stopped doing that in the 1800s.
no, no, no,
What
no,
the
no, no,
fuck?
they didn't. Not in Australia, my friend. We were doing that. We were rocking that shit because it was the Banana Republic run by Sergio Biocupitis, who was a very corrupt bastard. And that was his idea, just to create jobs for Queenslanders, was to force everybody to pull their train up, unload it from one train onto a different train, and then continue its fucking journey for no other reason that was crossing the state border, and the dickhead running the state went, "We're building our rail network with this gauge. Fuck everyone else," which set us back decades. We're still recovering from this shit.
I just want to point out that a good comparison of what we saw there with the stadium. The biggest place you can see with car park is that a train or that's a yeah it's a bus stop, but it's connected to what seems to be a major rail line. So it's a terminus. It's a big terminal hub where you then connect to the rest of it. There's tons of buses routes everywhere, except for up here. Notice that they could do with maybe a different. Oh wait, no, what's this? Oh, they have a bus route up here anyway. And there's ferries going in and out all the time. Hell, there's one right there. So yeah, Bergen is it's obviously this is more of a that's more of the central of the city by the looks of it. But then it connects up to it. Wow, it's actually really it's really long, isn't it? Jesus.
It's been
Um
there for a while, and it's
yeah,
expanded, and
expanded
it's now
out.
in its modern age, the port's become a major player.
Mm,
Back before the port, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, I imagine the port wouldn't have been as extensive as it was, but it still would have played an important part because it's got that nice little harbour there, which is, sailors like calm places to berth their ships, to unload and reload, and to, you know, get cover from storms. That's just, yeah.
yeah.
And you can see why a massive settlement built up around it, because it's got that natural harbour there. And that may be man-made. I'm guessing it's natural. It could very well be man-made. I could be wrong. I'm gonna take a
Uh
guess it's natural.
just says uh city park. But yeah, no, I'm guessing it is. Plus, it's yeah, I mean it's sheltered. Like it's kind of similar to how Seattle is, because you have to go inside all these, in this case, fjords, and there it's in the
Oh,
States.
the fjords.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Look how far out you have to go before you hit the open ocean. Which on the downside means that there's probably been a few crashes in that time, considering how many rocks there are. But it's a very sheltered one all year round. And in Dublin, of course, we have a good bay. But if you go in really close, you can make out here in here in Dublin. Um, come on, Dublin. If you go into the look at the roads here, you can almost see like this is what Dublin used to be a century or two ago, and then you go back even closer and it gets smaller. You see that also with London. That's why the city of London is actually not the same as London City. They're two separate things. You go all the way
Yep.
back down to Dublin, and of course you go based off the route, and that means that everywhere you want to walk, like it looks like crazy from up high, but I've walked this for decades. Like I've walked around here for decades, and it's all super easy. And with the Lewis, it makes it even faster because it just bolts around. But then, if we were to go to one of the New World cities, say. Um, let's go even further to Nebraska, which is somewhere I actually know. Let's go down to somewhere that's clearly. How about we pick? How about we actually look at Vegas? How about where's Nevada?
Yeah, Vegas or Dallas would be good.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so here's Vegas, right? For starters, it's absolutely massive. It's sprawled out so far because of
All
cars.
right. First thing I've noticed is that the island, when you went above Dublin,
Yeah,
you could see like a spider web pattern. I don't see a spider web there. I see a block
yeah.
that's been
Here's
shit out.
here's all the highways coming through, and then once you get off the highways you're in this nightmare.
Oh, damn. So see how it's blocky. See, it's just blocks slapped onto blocks, onto blocks, onto blocks, onto blocks, whereas Dublin was definitely more of a spider web thing as the layers, because it was another place that was around before motor vehicles. I'm going to assume maybe a few years before the motor
a,
vehicle was a
a, a
major player,
few a
just
few
a couple. And maybe it had the same sort of benefits as evolving as the city that
Here's a street view from
Oh,
just a random
fuck
place.
me.
Yep. Look at all this space, all for
See,
roads.
that's our main freeway that goes through our city is that three or four lanes. This is just an average street. This isn't like the
This is a
super
yeah, this is a sub street of a sub street, you know?
good fucking Lord. America. Wow.
And like they should be considering themselves lucky. They actually have a fucking pathway. They've got a pedestrian crossing. There are people who can
Lev,
actually walk.
we need to go to America and we're going to just start a company up that fixes potholes and we will become fucking billionaires in a few years.
We'll
The
be
amount,
stepping on someone else's toes who are like, hey,
oh,
we won't be
there's
the
enough
first.
work for everybody. We'll find a place where no one's fixing the potholes and we'll start fixing the. Look,
Well, we
I can
should start
see
right.
potholes. I can look, see, look at. Oh my fucking! This is in Vegas. Look
Freedom.
at that.
Hey,
Look
Elon,
at
you want to
that.
spend money in Vegas?
God damn.
That was from last year. You think this is cleaned up now? You honestly think this is
Look
cleaned
at
up?
the. I'm not kidding. I was just tongue in cheek because of the amount of bitumen there. I just went, we should. And
Yep.
now I'm seeing all. It's like I think I may have just stumbled onto a fucking cash cow. Like there's so many potholes
I forget
that
piles.
you're going to be able to get
Look
work.
how cracked all this shit is as well. Like the sun is just doing what the sun's gonna
Well,
do, but
oh, you speaking of the sunlight. Here's the thing about climate change too: is all of these roads. We found out in Australia what happens during really hot periods last year. There was a section of Victoria where the roads couldn't be driven on because the bitumen melted. And when cars and trucks would drive over it, it'd just cover the cars and trucks and ruin the fucking paint. Like, you'd have to get the car refinished. They were fucking ruined. We're going to have to start thinking about all of these roads if climate change keeps going and we start seeing more extreme events of heat. Not talking about just being constantly hot. I'm saying all we need to do is get a couple of days a year where it gets above a certain temperature and all of that turns to mush and you cannot drive on it.
want to see something I discovered firsthand from Chicago. Skyway Chicago potholes. When we came in from pothole complaints up by 14%. When we came in from the Midwest on the bus, it was just insane. Just the sheer amount of like just constant potholes.
Good fucking Lord. Look, yes. See, around here, I'll give our council credit. When there's a big storm, main roads are out in force the next day and they're filling up potholes real damn quick. Because if they don't, they start getting their asses sued off and people start bottoming their car out and blowing out expensive, like, nice low-profile tyres. The council have just learned cheaper for us to fix this shit immediately
Why is there
instead of...
so many? Potholes form when water under the pavement expands and contract, which can happen quite a bit during Chicago's freezing winter. Yeah, they don't like Chicago is the windy city, and I've been in there in the middle of winter. It's fucking terrifying. Like I'm surprised I didn't break my neck. But on top of it all, it's also like gets very, very swampy in the summertime. So those roads have to put up with ice cold water, sweltering water, and everything in between. Uh,
And Gene lives there apparently, from what I understand as well. Gene's a
I thought he was,
Chicagoite,
I thought it was
isn't he?
Baltimore,
Oh no, he is Baltimore. Sorry,
and
I
they have
was
to put up
mistaken.
with. Look at that, fucking
Oh damn!
look at this shit, and they're just pouring it in. Christ's sake.
That's yeah. See, well, this is the other end of the extreme. Apparently bitumen does not fare well in any extreme environment by the looks of it. It's happy at a certain sort of ambient temperature. Anything other than that, it starts to get sad. Holy shit. So where's all the money, all of the car registration and all of the fines that get paid and they can't even fucking fill in goddamn potholes in this city. So yeah.
I've seen roads in fucking Ukraine during the war that looks like this. This is
Yeah.
like it's just insane. Like, and yeah, like are that they don't like people when they were complaining there weren't enough jobs to go around during the worst of the recession. Well, why not get a bunch of fucking work gangs together, get people trained and get them out to fucking seal up every hole there. Well, most drivers won't get full reimbursement. The city does offer reimburse for cars damaged with potholes that aren't easy to get. Um, yeah, I don't, yeah, this is like, there's everything that is wrong with cars we are seeing, and yet people are still, like, you're seeing it in China, like, their cities are becoming more and more focused solely on people having cars because people have disposable income, and the exact same things are happening. Their
Mate.
roads are
Oh,
becoming nightmares.
Lev, I've got it. What if we corner the market of fixing potholes in hyperloops? I'm a fucking genius. I just created a new industry. Fuck you, Elon. I got there. I'm gonna fix your fucking potholes with state of the art pothole fixing technology. It's under development right now. Should be out in a year or two. It's going to be fucking fully autonomous pothole repairs. It's going to be great.
American cities always make me feel so sad when I look at them from above. It looks almost like farmland from a distance at first. So you zoom in close and you realize, oh no, this is
No, that's people's miserable lives. Every little tiny dot that we're seeing now. Some poor bastards in there going, "This fucking gridlock and all these goddamn potholes." And Elon Musk wants to tunnel under my fucking house. God damn it!
and they say our housing estates look all the same. Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
god, I've just had an epiphany. What if here's the next marketing thing? So fuck Hyperloop,
On a roll.
fuck everything. No, no, no. What if we create high-speed escalators now? Bear with me here. So these escalators will be pulling about 250 miles an hour. And what if you want to get on one? Sounds really difficult. No, I got you covered. We're going to hook you up with a nice little harness, and it's going to have a bungee cord on it with like a grappling hook. If you want to get on the thing, you sort of go, throw the grappling hook out. It catches, the bungee cord stretches, you slowly get pulled aboard the vehicle. Nice and safe. What could possibly go wrong? The thing's doing 250 mile an hour and you get snapped up by a bungee cord. It's going to be fine. Trust me. Like
I've
going around the corners in the Hyperloop at 240 kilometers an hour when you're going around that fucking bend that's going to make you just go straight through the side window of the pod and smash into the fucking tunnel wall.
I oh God, I was thinking, why not have like there's every house has a rail that goes outside of their window, right? It like it's on the roof, their ceilings, and a giant crane, a claw comes in on the rail, picks you up, and then adds you to like this almost like laundromat, laundromat lit, and just takes you around. Um, that would be the Bezos approach to things. Um,
Right. And the Branson version, here's Branson's version. He's just decided that he's going to go and simplify shit. Everybody is going to get a people cannon. You want to be somewhere in a hurry, right? You just go and load yourself in the cannon, point in the general direction you want to go, punk. And if you want to get, say you want to get somewhere that's 4 or 5 cannon shots away, you just go punk into a net, get out of the net, there's a cannon waiting already loaded for you, and there's cannons in everyone's yard, and there's nets, and everyone's just going to get around by just going yeeting each other in people cannons, right? No more roads. You don't need roads anymore. You just need a decent sized landing net in your backyard, the size of a trampoline. What could possibly go wrong? 3D print stabilizing fins for ourselves, so we can, when we get in the cannon, we're in a little capsule with fins on it. It goes, punk. Look, I'll even be safety conscious. We'll put a little parachute on the Kings just in case they miss the net.
Just in case.
Are you on board? Sound good?
Sounds good to me. Until we can GoFundMe that. This is probably the best example I can think of a walkable city that has like the best of both worlds. It's high density, but it's like so easy to get around because the grid layout is kind of like an American city, but there's actual thought that's put into it. Like you can see every
Yeah.
single like cube is perfectly lined up. But if you had a car, this
Now,
would be a nightmare.
pan out, go up to a high altitude, and we'll see if there's a spider web pattern or if it's just really blocky. If you could go up higher again and just keep going up like we're shooting off into space. Now, yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of grid lines. Like here's some bends. Like here's an actual like town, like a satellite town on the edge of it, right? And it looks like a Mediterranean town from orbit, Christ. Uh, and oh wow, you can actually see Barcelona proper from there. That's a good shot.
okay.
So
Yeah, that's another place that's benefited from being around for a long time, and it's evolved to let traffic come into it. But before that, people used to get around on foot. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And these buildings were developed in like the 20s and 30s to be as like egalitarian as possible. Because if I'm right, like communists helped fucking design these buildings, and they like the Republic during like the Civil War, and they were just so useful that even afterwards they kind of just kept them. Uh, Barcelona, obviously, like you follow the road down into, so we're going to go down a bit into the actual city itself. So by the time we're Oak House School, okay, it's interesting it's in English. Whoa, so a tunnel, neat, like a 90s album for like a grunge or something like that. And then boom, we're in Barcelona. Even look at this, look at the lack of traffic. Very telling for such a massive city. And it's scroll out a bit, go to the B7 or whatever, and you follow down here, and eventually you're just going to end up in a city that, there should be like a certain point that if you're on a car, it'll become like much more complicated. But then, yeah, look, this is a major road in their city. Yeah, this is a great example. Here's a major road in their city, right? How many lanes is there? One, two, three, four, five, six. And look how little traffic there is. But I guarantee you,
Yep.
like their buses and their trades, here's one of their major loops. We go right into the center of,
You go to the
Jesus.
CBD and the central business district, and we'll see what the traffic's like there, because that's going to be the big. Now, this could be during COVID, and there's just everything
No,
shut down.
Jan from 2000,
Oh,
2002,
I
2002.
can shut the hell right up then.
Yeah. Like these alleyways are cool, and they're very like I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for like art and stuff there, but also like what everyone got. Everyone's got a fucking moped, and it's the same in Amsterdam as well. If you look at Amsterdam, like the video we're gonna look at right now, um, Well, just beforehand though, let's have a quick look at the roundabout. God, it's something you'd never see in America. They're terrified of these things.
Yeah,
Roundabouts.
they're bloody
Ooh.
everywhere here now. It's just yeah, you give way to the right. That's how we work. It works here. It's like, oh, if it's already on the roundabout, don't drive into it. If there's nothing on the roundabout, you can drive on the roundabout. It's basically that simple. It's not rocket science. Just in America, give way to the left, I guess. But in Australia, it's give way to the, if it's on the fucking roundabout, don't drive on the roundabout because there's a car there, and physics are a thing, and two things can't occupy the same space at the same time.
But somehow it'll always be their fault.
But
Uh,
they're really efficient. Roundabouts are efficient. It's
highly
people.
efficient. Way better
You'll
than
be
those
amazed.
four-leaf clover things you get with
Yeah.
the in the American highways. Christ. Um, this is probably, I think this is actually the more look at it. It's a very car-friendly city, but that doesn't result
People
in
friendly.
people. Yeah, no, as in like it is car friendly. Like if you want to drive, you could be able to drive around. Not all of it. We saw some of those alleyways back there, but like you could drive around this city fairly comfortably. But no one's doing it. Look how empty these roads are. Absolutely, like this is a major thoroughfare, and I see a decent amount of people walking and a decent amount of people on bikes.
There's just no congestion because it looks like the city's nicely spread out, and there's a lot of modern places make the mistake of shoving everything into a really tight area, and it just creates fucking parking chaos, traffic chaos, everything chaos.
Oh, here's
Town
the
planning.
this is like the gee, look at this. They put all their stadiums in one area. Okay, here's a
With lots
baseball
of
field.
parklands. Yeah, look at all the parks though as
Yeah.
well.
Let's go, let's take a look down. Oh, was this like an Olympics?
It's like a precinct where you can have a whole bunch of stuff that's similar and
Right.
sort of flows together, and then but between all of these spaces, we've also worked in a whole bunch of green spaces. Like I'm seeing a lot of trees there, which is a good thing. Trees make shade, keep temperatures down. There's another thing we can do to help cities is stop chopping down all the fucking trees. It's like plan your streets to have decent sized trees. Keep your utilities away from where the trees are going to be. And you won't have the problem of the trees going, "Ooh, I like water and I can smell water in those pipes. Om nom 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 nom."
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. It's just a little bit of planning before going. It's like, don't do as I say, not as I do, city planners. I live my life of just going and doing shit and going, oh, that went horribly wrong. You can't plan cities like that. You got to sit down, take a moment, go,
Was
where's everything going to go?
this is just like behind the giant uh roundabout that we just looked at. Like this whole thing was so well put together. Christ's sake. Uh, it looks like a
Look at all the
lovely,
tracks. Yeah, look at all the like.
yeah,
If you scroll down, so that yeah, all right. So they're little roads and tracks and pathways and parking spaces and
all with
green
bus routes
spaces.
as well. There's plenty of parking, but if we go down that last car park we looked at, here's a great example. Like, look at this stadium, right? This stadium has this as its what looks like a. It's not a car park. It's just a big open area.
Yeah, it's public. It's green. It's green space. It's just a
It's a
what
plaza.
Central Park.
Yeah. It's just, and they have all this space to work with right next to a massive, one of the most important terminals for Mediterranean trade. And it's literally right there. Imagine the congestion that in theory could go through here. And yet, if we go down here now, will we see tons of traffic? When we hit here? There should be trucks pouring out of here in some other places. There isn't. It's
It could
brilliant.
be on it could be a Sunday or a public holiday. It could be an explanation for the
True.
serious lack of traffic. But oh,
Then we keep on.
it's
Here's another day, and look.
it's got to be a weekend or a quiet time or something. There's just that's. But there's bendy buses, so there's that was part of the
Yeah,
solution right there. As
right
remember, he
there.
talked about
The bendy
they're
buses.
highly efficient to get people around. You could fit 150 people on one of those things, apparently. See, look at all the buses. There's 1, 2, there's buses in the background, 3, 4, bunch of buses.
These are all for the ferries by the looks of it after you've come in from the port. They've got all these buses right there. And look at the lack of, and you can tell they don't really have to deal with that much traffic because there's no parking space for said traffic. Like it's not, there is a parking spot, of course, there would be a parking garage. Parking World Trade Center. Ooh, not a good name. But oh, it's underground.
Oopsie.
And look at all the space that they have underground. It's not jam packed.
See, there's something that may actually be of more of a benefit. I'm going to try and steer us back to talking shit about Elon because this has
Yes.
been fun. But
Yes, I
right,
mean, yeah.
what if Elon went, oh, instead of building hyperloops, he just started building car parks underground.
He'd make a fortune.
But it will. My final thing is that towns need to be planned out a lot better than what modern man is doing. We have got lots of great examples in Europe and in the UK and all around the world of ancient cities that were built up around people walking. And we did it for tens of thousands of years, and I think we could adapt to eradicating motor vehicles and the whole car mentality. It's because that Adam video was right. It's just they're just not cost effective. For short and medium range transport, yeah, there's some benefit, but still the bad stuff outweighs the good stuff 100 to 1.
Oh,
So he was on point,
clearly.
in my opinion.
Oh God, I forgot he does like the solar panels and shit.
Oh, the solar tiles, right? Well, that was just fucking fraud. Now, apparently, he's finally got one out on the market now, and it's nothing like what they first showed off. But when he was showing off and he did his spiel, and all those houses were covered in, that was all fake as fuck. That was fraud.
Here's some SpaceX shit. This is on his I think it's his verified one. Yeah. Here's some
Does it say Chief Twit?
And there is successful separation of the Galaxy 31 satellite off to continue its mission.
Kula I guess. That was 7 hours ago.
8.
Here's one of
7,
his missiles
6,
being launched.
5.
His phallic
4,
symbols.
3, 2, 1. And liftoff of Intelsat Galaxy 31 and 32. Go Falcon 9.
I propose that they change the term liftoff to we have yeet.
Command 10.
All right, Twitter. What should I answer? Twitter is less fun, more fun. LMAO.
Just yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
FTX meltdown, ransack being tracked. Oh, that's a. Going forward, accounts engaged in parody must include parody in their name, not just in bio. Oh, tricking people, because so many people were pretending to be him. We're adding a parody subscript to clarify. He posted this out today.
Well, it's always been a no-no to impersonate people on Twitter. So
Yeah,
the people like H3 apparently just got perma-yeeted because he did an Elon parody thing. But here's the thing: he wrote, when you go to his page on Twitter, it had the parody thing written on the header. But when he posts something, you don't see any of that shit. You just see the Elon Musk being on that.
Yeah,
You don't see
they
anybody. So that's why he got yeeted, and I'm kind of glad he did, because fuck that guy. Have you seen what that turd's turned into? We'll do a show on him too. Fuck that guy. He's turned into a complete wanker. But
he's definitely fallen off the wayside, and he looks like shit these days. Like he's not getting any sleep. Like I
yeah, he's
think,
advocating for doxing. So yeah, fuck that guy. He's going, oh, we get to do, yeah, we'll dox him. Yeah, fuck that. Piece of
yeah,
dickhead.
he's not. I think the whole thing ever since with Trisha Paytas, ever since that shit started to go down,
Oh god.
yeah, I think that's when he really started to lose me. But that, like you said,
Yeah,
that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, like he
yeah.
got yeet. But here's the thing that I want to put out. Elon said it was comedy was back on the menu. So how come he didn't change the rules for that? Yeah, you see, like we were promised comedy, and he failed to deliver. Um, but game, what the hell? Twitter HQ is great. This is a real pick. Hashtag game over. It's from the video arcade and bar area. Okay, how many people do you think have the luxury of going to the bar or the video arcade in Twitter right now? They're probably running around with like tons of files and like on their on two different phones, like trying to do damage control. Like that
I,
place is
I
gathering dust right now.
I imagine that we're a few days away from Twitter being knocked offline due to lack of maintenance. That's where I think they're headed. I think that
They're gonna have
it's
blackouts.
no, that their back end is going to fucking fall apart without all their fucking text that were basically caressing it and keeping it online. It's like, it's not just. I don't think people truly understand the nature of these things. They're just, it's an array of fucking
Look at
servers
it.
everywhere, and they've
Look
got
at
to try and make them play nicely together. And when one breaks, they've got to try and make it so you don't notice that
oh,
stuff's broken.
Prendar didn't realize that like there were like regional branches of Twitter, and I showed him the actual offices in Dublin. Like there's tons in like numerous cities, let alone numerous countries. Uh, I just want to point this out. Like he's he honestly sucks, really sucks at like doing jokes. Um, but yeah, on Twitter, they're complaining about Twitter on Twitter. That's the exact same joke as the fucking like, oh, you dislike society and you participate in that. Curious. It's the same fucking joke.
Where,
Um,
well,
I
for
love this
some reason,
response. This is the first response. Go on anyway.
yeah. So here's the thing I've noticed about the internet. So you got a problem with YouTube? You can't contact YouTube on YouTube. You go
No.
to Twitter and
Yeah.
you get the attention of a big YouTuber, and you tell them their problem. If they take up your cause, your problem usually gets solved. But you got to use Twitter to get YouTube's attention. And it's funny how many companies that you contact directly will fucking ignore you. But as soon as you tweet at them with something slightly that's not 100% three thumbs up,
Well, I know this.
they'll
I
start
have to
licking
do
your
it.
fucking ballsack out. What's wrong? What's wrong? Oh
Yep.
no.
Yep, it happened to me when they gave me a strike a few months ago, and I had to give them a call, and they were like, "Oh, well, let us check in on this," and they didn't really help one iota, but I didn't get a single goddamn response at all from them up to that point. Other people have to like jump through the fucking hoops here on Twitter just to get YouTube to pay attention to them. Now, what happens if
Even
you
Susan admitted it on they had one of those things where they're sort of critiquing, and she's on there getting interviewed, and she's acknowledged that like nearly 2 years ago. Yeah, it's really bad that people have got to go to Twitter to get our attention. We need to work on that. Well, hey, Auntie Susan, you should try fucking working on that then, hey? Instead of just talking about working on it. Yeah. Anyway, so Elon's now just, how broken's Twitter? We should, yeah, it's got to be getting good by now.
I'm actually surprised as we started doing this stream that it didn't get any that we didn't get any updates for it. Like a new one, you know.
I'm
Uh,
just checking my news feed. I'm imagining something's going to pop up shortly.
Usually does. Oh God, he's got the green. He's got the green Mars as his banner. I don't think
Yeah,
he's.
how you?
Yeah, good luck terraforming that. We're only a few thousand years away from figuring that technology out.
No, well, here's another problem. Uh, Mars can't hold on to an atmosphere like we can.
It had one and
It's
then it
just
lost it.
talk to Landon and he'll explain it to you. But
Yeah,
yeah, it had one and it doesn't. It's kind of still got one, but there's not one that's going to be nice to us.
it's why in The Martian, did you watch The Martian, the movie?
I haven't seen that one yet. No.
There's a scene in it where raging dust storms go after Matt Damon. But here's the thing, because there's no real atmosphere on Mars, there's like wind, but it's really light wind. There just couldn't be the pressure needed to kick up the storm. But in this one, it's like a fucking hurricane of like lightning bolts and shit going everywhere. Like, no, how? And also, like, don't forget that if you were to go on Mars, it's heavily irradiated because there's no real atmosphere. The
No magnetic
radiation,
field.
yeah,
There's not. It's like we got these wonderful things here that we get the aurora borealis and aurora australis.
hmm,
That's you don't get that on Mars. That it doesn't have that whole thing in place. It's we're not terraforming Mars. We're going to live in tunnels, kind of like in that Arnie movie. That
Total
that was
Recall.
yeah. So that was a really good and not even glass domes. You don't want glass domes. That's just a bad idea. You want to be hidden in the rock, nice and safe, underground. That's how we're going to live on Mars. You're going to live like a fucking mole rat.
Oh, look, this is one of the latest things he's done. Boop. Elon Musk soon. The death to bots. Here's the thing. Like I said, I've got some in my DMs right now, and I've had to deal with them for a while, but that doesn't fucking matter. What does matter is that they've only gotten worse since he started. And he's obsessed with the idea that like these bots are making up a huge percentage of the numbers, but they're not. They're not making up the huge percentage of it. They're a problem, but it's nowhere near as much of a problem as he thinks it is. Because he thinks that they're the reason why he's not like respected or he's constantly getting harassed by these endless sock accounts and shit like that. No, not really. Not in the percentage he thinks. People just don't fucking take him seriously, and he's been proving why ever since he bought this thing. And like at this rate, like will it see? I'm gonna have to probably wrap this up in a little bit. We've gone for nearly 3 hours. And I'm really tired. But
No worries, mate.
um, what do you think about like it's gonna Twitter will survive until the new year, but do you think it's going to like how bad do you think it's gonna get? Like how like do you think that he's going to uh make more cuts? Is he going to remove features? Is he going to start adding a bunch of new advertisers who are just like spam constantly?
Well, here's his problem. Way I understand it, I think it's 90% of the revenue that they get at Twitter is advertising. He's alienated all of the big advertisers. They're going, yeah, don't want to be giving them money. He then went, I'll go thermonuclear and name and shame, which alienated them even more. What company that's decent in size that's going to throw the amount of money he needs to make. He needs to get this thing making $1 billion a year so he can pay back his loan. It's got to be making over $1 billion a year in profit. He's screwed. It's only a matter of time till this thing bleeds out now because he just keeps.
How
Unless he can,
many $8 verifications are there
well,
for
that's already gone. That whole program's been shit canned from what I understand because it's caused so much turmoil instantly. It's like, so the other one was just charging everyone to use it, which is his next step. It's the only step that he can take now is everyone is going to have to pay for the base service or it's not going to be there anymore. And that's how he's going to go. He's going, we've come to the time now. I have to charge the. This is my prediction that he's going to try and turn it into a pay to use thing. So you'll be
I
paying
heard
him
I heard
$5 a month.
that.
This is not to get a blue check. This is just so you can log into your account and actually use the fucking goddamn platform.
Yeah, it's
Then
gonna.
you added value added things on top of it, like your check marks or your own. They will monetize it. Basically, he'll go to EA, and they'll go, "This isn't gambling. This is just what was the expression they used? Surprise mechanics. It's not gambling. It's like, no, it's fucking gambling." So he's going to
Twitter will be
introduce.
eventually overrun with like just fucking whales at this point. Like at the end of it,
Yeah.
like it's gonna be a little gated community of people, and at that point it won't be viable. But he'll be like, haha, I got rid of all the people I don't like. Now might be a good time for a rival fucking a rival app, a rival service to spring up because people are pondering whether or not to leave, and if he kicks people out, well, maybe they will start. There was I hear people saying like I want to go back to Reddit. Other people saying that like I might want to give I won't want to like boot back up my Discord again and shit like that.
Look, this is
There,
even Facebook may have a chance of stopping their
I
fucking
don't know.
bleed out is if they
There,
cater
yeah,
to that audience.
right.
It's possible. I'm not saying it's likely. It's
But it is possible.
possible.
I was thinking now might be a great time for it, but yeah, like they've got their own shit. Amazon could launch their own as well. Like they could be like, yeah, it's time to get on board with this and call it. I don't know. Uh, Gossip or something like that. Just something generic. And there's basically a carbon copy of all the best elements of Twitter, and then people will just flock over there without any of like the extra bullshit that Twitter, because Twitter's always had so much shit wrong with it, ranging from no edit button to really arbitrary like uh suspensions and shit like that. Uh,
I say that we take over the Russian section of the ISS, fill it up with service, and we create a new social media platform, and we just call it Shit Posting Central. And just say the rules are there are no rules. Charge obscene amounts of money to people that are game enough to advertise on this platform that'll just be full of the most disgusting things humanity could ever post on the internet. Just create it specifically for that. Just make it like the sacrificial lamb for the internet. So all of the
siphon off
really
all
bad
the bad stuff, yeah.
It's like a shit sink where all the shit gets sucked into and stored.
We're here,
So
we're here in this big office counting money. We get a knock at the door, and it's just these guys who have like the Reddit and the 4chan logos over their heads, and they have like chains and like baseball bats. Hey, you're muscling in our business.
it's like just come in and literally all of the rules that because they have to put some like we won't have any moderate. What's moderation? That costs money. That's
Oh,
eating into our profits.
forget that. We should just rent out Sealand, you know? Go out there and just convert the old rig out there into like the world's biggest fucking server. We'll get Pirate Bay in as well, just for old time's sake.
We'll
and
get
just
it. We'll get Roberts in on the action. He can help set the whole thing up, and just
yeah.
we'll just turn it into it's like get all the alt right folks and the extreme left. You say just come and threaten to kill each other on our fucking social media platform, just blatantly and openly. Just threaten to get each other in Minecraft and do the most horrific things you can do to each other. We're down with that.
Cover the things in like big neon NFT ads with like bored apes that you can see from the coastline of England. It's just glowing all night.
Oh, we will sell shares in
Giant 10-cent logos flashing up into the night sky.
we're so morally bankrupt. We are still selling shares in that cryptocurrency exchange, that FXT that's just collapsed.
Hell, even Elon was so yeah.
We're still selling shares to that shit. We're saying, oh, you just don't know, it hasn't collapsed yet. That's just, don't worry, but just give us some money. Here's your FXT.
The last
FXT
great
NFT.
yeah. The last greatest bastion of the Silk Road, you know. Oh God, all we have to do is I know how we can raise money for it. All we have to do is say we are the first laissez-faire libertarian ethno state. You know, just throw it in there. And when the tankies complain, we'll say every other day we are the workers' commune who is seizing the means of production from the capitalists, and you know they'll just flood the markets with donations via PayPal as well, probably, and then
Can we get JF? We'll get JF to do the voiceover bits, like come to the ethno state. Oh yeah, licks your legs. Oh yeah. JF, yeah, perfect. Nailed it.
This is like this. This is workable too, because I can't imagine that Sealand's exactly bringing in money these days. Um, but yeah, I do have to leg it now. I've got a good date ahead of me with a bed. So it's been a great chat with you again, man. Sorry it took like this long. We probably would have had a better audience first time around. It seemed like more people were interested. This one was still pretty good though, so I can't complain.
Well,
Uh,
mate, thank you for having me on. Thanks to all the folks that stuck around and listened to me talk shit about Elon Musk, because it's just, it brings joy to my heart to see that house of cards come tumbling down. I don't like to see everybody fail, but this guy, this pie's been in the oven for long enough. It's time we served it up.
yeah. Um. Oh, might as well oh shit. Yeah, let's end with this. So, word around is Elon Musk has ordered his Ireland workforce back to Dublin by Monday, or else literally not enough housing in Dublin to do so. Currently employed as a contracted and company of Twitter. I'm sure you're aware Elon Musk has recently bought Twitter. Make harsh changes. Most recent, these all employments must be office by Monday. Many of us work all around the country and are able to do so. This is the middle of a housing crisis. Yeah, Dublin's going through a tremendously bad housing crisis right now. There's absolutely no idea about it. It's almost possible to move Dublin quickly, put under tents. Yeah, it like all jokes aside, there's a lot of people who need him for money or whatever, and he's also fucking it. Because you know, when the Titanic sank, it might be a giant declaration of, "Ha, there goes the waste of extravagance. There goes man's hubris, and there goes a lot of innocent people too." So you know,
Yep.
people are gonna starve because of Elon's ridiculous decisions.
That's a really good point to make, and that's good food for thought there. I can chew on that and sort of definitely got my sympathy to those people. I feel really bad for the people being affected, folks like this that just want to go to fucking work and earn a fucking living and do shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good point.
Yeah, on that somber note, because as fun as this has been, don't forget he's what happens when you succeed, and one day I hope he's going to be in a history book of what not to do with power. Um, because it doesn't always have to be political. Not that he doesn't have any fucking political power, Christ. Um,
All right, mate.
yeah.
I've got to shoot off too. My mate's just pulled off, so I'll get going. Thanks for having me on.
All right. And as for everyone else here, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out the links down below. As I said, I don't know when Krendar will be able to join us next for Bearded Ramblings. So the next time I will be streaming will be over on Twitch over the next few days. Probably playing Disco Elysium. And then on Wednesday, we're meant to be having a co-op game with Taffy. Taffy's meant to be coming in for Wasted Wednesday. So watch this space.